What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys this beautiful Sunday morning here in Fort Worth, Texas. We're streaming for you guys over on YouTube if you're checking us out, also on Facebook, as well as Twitch for you gamers out there if you'd like to certainly watch our shows from that site as well. So it's fantastic to have each and every one of you. And for those Spotify listeners of viewers out there, we do have a Spotify channel. There is a link in the description box below. If you're listening to this, we probably will post this over on Spotify. If not later on tonight, then definitely on Monday morning for you guys. So definitely stay tuned for that. They do audio and video over on Spotify for you guys now also. So should be a packed episode here today. We got 6 topics that we're going to be breaking down for you guys. Going to be getting into our Flash talk a little bit. We did have CinemaCon 2023 this year that had some pretty big announcements. We definitely will discuss some of the trailers that might have dropped or some first looks that we wind up getting. So we're definitely going to be talking the Flash along with the Transformers trailer today. We're also going to be getting into our Sony bag as we discuss a little bit of Kraven the Hunter. We're also going to be diving a little bit into the MCU as there are some changes to the Blade script once again. Then we got some DC talk for you guys as Stephen Amell is back in the news as good old Green Arrow, as he just had his episode with The Flash this past week also. And Karen Gillan is in the news for a potential casting in the future for the DCU. But we'll definitely talk a little bit about that along with your guys' honorable mentions. So welcome, guys, to A+ Hero Report. And it's not just myself. We got Stuart on board with us today. Always fantastic to see you here, Stuart. Thank you so much, man, for being here today. What's up, man? How you been?
Of course. Thank you for having me. I've been good. Just currently in the process of waking up still. I also kind of realized that I probably shouldn't have smoked as much as I did last night because it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And of course, right now it being only 7 hours since then, I think technically THC takes a little longer to leave your body. Yeah. So I don't think I'm high or anything though, so I'll be good for the show. But it's just something that kind of occurred to me when I woke up. I'm like, I think there's still THC in my blood.
Yeah, man. If anything, yeah, that stuff can certainly stick around. Doesn't necessarily go away with a good night's sleep, but yeah, especially when we're on 7 hours, so you might be a little dazed and confused today in certain aspects. So we'll we'll let it slide for sure, man. It's good to see you, man. Hopefully Indy will join us. I'm not sure. He did mention he was going to try. He did get off of work late last night, so I don't know if he's going to be able to join us or not. But keep my fingers crossed because I definitely would love to have Indy on board with today's episode. Let's see who we got here in the live chat with us today. We got Enrique certainly coming through. Good to see you, Enrique. Datilla is also in the house with us. He says, are we still doing backlash predictions next week, Adam? Yeah, why not? Why not? Look, it's going to be coming live from Puerto Rico. I don't want to say my birthplace, but my father's side comes from Puerto Rico. Good old Bad Bunny got some representation there. So if anything, definitely we'll be checking out WWE Backlash. They are in the midst of a WWE draft also, so a lot of moving parts right now. But yeah, Attila, we can do some predictions, possibly maybe like Thursday evening if you're down. Enrique says also they revealed the upcoming first look at TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, and Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. Interesting. I haven't seen the TMNT footage. Have you heard anything about that, Stuart, coming out of Comic-Con, or maybe that's something they just dropped this weekend?
The only thing I seen from it was the one trailer, the kind of more teaser trailer that they released that I get to see. It's so weird. So the movie Beau is Afraid, it's like this weird comedic horror movie, and that's the movie where we play that trailer, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which is just kind of a weird combo to me.
That is a little bit of a weird combo. Yeah, like who decides to put that type of movie in front of that? So yeah, that's an interesting one. Who we got here? Marcelino in the house. What's up, Marcelino? Thanks for certainly joining us today. You know what, Stuart? Let's start getting into some honorable mentions here.
Awesome.
I don't know if you have any in particular. Usually I recommend check out our Facebook page if you're desperate for one, but maybe you got something of your own you want to talk about.
I do have one, and it actually has been brought up over here. My specific honorable mention is about Avatar: The Last Airbender getting a theatrical film coming to theaters. And this is not going to be like a live action remake or anything like that. This is actually going to be a direct continuation of the show coming to theaters in 2025. Like, I knew
Sick.
about this movie. I just had zero idea it was going to be coming to theaters. So that's what got me really excited. We're going to be following our same crew of Team Avatar, but this time they're all going to be adults. I'm not sure if any of the characters from Legend of Korra would be in this show, because I guess technically some of them would be around as kids, just not adults like they are in Legend of Korra. So I am kind of curious if we're going to see any of them. But yeah, anytime I hear about more Avatar, I'm excited.
How do you feel about Netflix's Avatar? We're supposed to still be getting that. I think that might be coming pretty soon.
I'm still intrigued. I'll definitely check it out when it comes out. I'm just, when it comes to live action Avatar, I'm trying not to get my expectations too high. But I'll definitely check it out when it gets there.
That's probably a good bet, man. Probably a good bet. Um, let's see here. So yeah, look, guys, if you're excited for the Avatar stuff, please go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. I unfortunately, Stuart, you have been begging me to check out Avatar. And I think there was like 1 week I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to do this. And then I watched like 3 or 4 episodes and I unfortunately just never went back. I just got caught up in other things. Not to say I didn't like it, because I really did enjoy what I saw, but it's just so much other stuff on my plate at the time. But maybe I'll get a chance to revisit it at one point. But I know there's a ton of Avatar fans out there. So I think that's pretty cool. It could be getting a theatrical release.
You see, though, you're a dad now, so it's your job to show Avatar to your kid.
Hey, yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen at some point in my life. I'll be like, son, let's sit down and watch something, and I'll introduce him to Avatar, Star Wars, Power Rangers, all that goodness when he's ready.
Awesome.
Let's see here. What other honorable mentions we got? We did get ourselves some new Little Mermaid character posters. I don't know. I believe Enrique said that they dropped another trailer. I think I might have missed that current trailer, but they did drop brand new character posters, and I actually really like a lot of these character posters. I think they're actually pretty stunning, and it makes me wonder exactly like how this film visually is going to look, sort of on the big screen, because some of these characters really kind of stand out to me. King Triton, I really am a big fan of this particular poster of him, also of Javier Bardem. Playing the father to Ariel. We also got Prince Eric here also. And no Little Mermaid is complete without its sea creatures. So we got Flounder here. I think there was another one that I had, but for some reason, I don't know why StreamYard does this, but I'll load up the banners, and for some reason, StreamYard will like remove certain ones when I leave and come back. So I have to put this one up here, because without Flounder, you also need Sebastian, who's going to be played by David Diggs. And then you got Aquafina, who's going to be playing Scuttle. I think that's an interesting casting choice for Scuttle in Aquafina there. But yeah, those are some of the brand new character posters. What do you think about the posters in general, Stuart? Not so much the trailers you've seen, but the posters.
Not bad looking.
Not bad, right?
I'm not a fan, of course, of Flounder and Sebastian, but I feel like everyone complains about that. But it's kind of true. I think that Flounder is honestly that's the face of nightmares. So
Flounder? Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
startling. Yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely startling. I wouldn't want to run into him in the middle of the night.
yeah. God
Um,
no.
we also got some brand new posters for Across the Spider-Verse. I'm actually a really big fan of this one. The idea of finally getting an opportunity to have a post. Well, I was going to say finally have a poster with Miles Morales' face on it, but I think we had one previously. But I just dig this poster for some reason. But the poster that I love from Across the Spider-Verse is this one. One,
Oh yes.
I love the view of Spider-Man 2099 coming towards him. I think that's just a really cool effect to see in his lens. Same thing with Spider-Gwen here. And then you've got the rest of the poster kind of populated with other Spider-Man cameos that we're going to be getting also. So it has a little bit of everything for me. Like I really do appreciate this poster, to the point to where I would honestly have this on my wall at some point in time. I think it's that good of a poster. So
Mm-hmm.
we getting a bunch of great marketing material from them for sure. What else we got in honorable mentions? I think I maybe have like three quick things. Stuart, have you checked out the trailer for the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. They just dropped that this past week. I think maybe at CinemaCon or afterwards. But have you checked it out? Have you had an opportunity to see it?
No, I have not.
Man, let me let me tell you, I love this trailer. I was already like I wouldn't say I was completely on board because I really did enjoy the Hunger Games movies themselves. Um, I was fascinated to kind of learn that this is a prequel movie that really showcases like the rise of Snow himself. That intrigued me. So I was like, okay, this definitely has some potential. And then when I actually saw the trailer for this though, man, I'm like, bring it on. Like I want to revisit this world. I think Rachel Zegler is a great actress. I think she's gonna knock it out of the park in here. I completely forgot Viola Davis is in this movie. You tell me Viola Davis is in anything, and I'm definitely going to be paying attention to it. And she definitely looks like she's going to help carry this film also. Peter Dinklage, I believe, is in here also. I mean, just really riveting stuff that I think for me, I hunger, no pun intended, but I hunger to learn about the politics about this world, how the games have kind of changed over the years. Like you're even getting an opportunity to see how like it feels like the entertainment side of the games is now starting to come out where they kind of want to make people the stars. They now want to start like broadcasting these big events and the talents that these people are capable of doing sort of thing. So I do find that element pretty fascinating to see like what changed within that political spectrum of that world for them to kind of go this direction. And you mix that in with a love story, incredible action, some violence, I'm sure. Uh, it definitely got my hype machine going. And I think that's certainly the point of any trailer that you go ahead and check out. And so for me, sign me up, man. Coming close to Thanksgiving this November, we got the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. If you guys have the opportunity to check out the trailer yourself, please go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below because I'm kind of pumped. I'm actually in the process of doing a Hunger Games rewatch right now. I think I'm in the middle of Catching Fire, the second one. What's your relationship like with the Hunger Games? Is this movie something that you're fascinated in at least?
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking it out. I don't know why I haven't watched the trailer yet, but did I ever tell you the funny story when I first saw the first movie? Okay, I had never even heard of the Hunger Games when I went to go watch it in theaters. So it was just one of those weekends. My friend was like, "Hey, you want to watch Hunger Games?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." I expected it to just be like maybe a half full theater. So we got our tickets like probably about 10 minutes before the movie started. And I was surprised, honestly, that there were even tickets left. But we ended up having to sit in the very, 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 very front of the theater, which was annoying as hell because I had to like constantly keep my head up because really bad for my neck. Anyways, just that was just funny because that was my introduction to it because I didn't realize it was like this, huge book franchise. But yeah, I think so far the second one was definitely my favorite. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the last two movies. I thought they were
Oh,
okay, especially the third one. I just feel like, much like most of these book-based movies that always end on two parts, I feel like it could have been better as like one movie. I feel like the only exception to that rule is Harry Potter because they did it first and it kind of made sense for Harry Potter. But now it's like ever since then, every book like movie franchise wanted to do the same thing, and it just it didn't work as well.
Yeah, I think even maybe Divergent did that. Maybe I
Yeah.
can't remember. I think they had a part one and part two of something. I can't remember if Maze Runner did that or not. But yeah, it feels like a lot of those young adult novels definitely did kind of split their final books into two. Just so much content for them. Um, Shout out to Dino Knights. And most importantly, yo, shout out to Blossom. What's up, Blossom? With the support for the channel. Thank you very much for dropping that super chat for us. Wicked cool and Eric, holy macaroni. She's loving her some Eric, some Prince Eric, man. Um, let's see here. What's up, Billy? Good to see you in here, Billy. Hi, Adam and Stuart. I saw videos of early reactions of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I hear it's better than Ant-Man Quantum Manium. Yeah, there's been a lot of first reactions this week, Stuart. A lot of first reactions for The Flash. The Flash was shown over at CinemaCon. Big praise. I mean, I honestly maybe saw one or two tweets that were like meh, but I feel like overall, everything that I saw was like it lives up to the hype. What James
Mhm.
Gunn was selling us is not crazy street. They're definitely on to something there. And the same thing when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. The people that I have heard early reactions that I personally trust that have come out of the theater are like, man, this is an incredible film. It's nowhere near the level of the phase 4 sort of films that we've gotten. They kind of become like they really put it up there in regards to like some of their better MCU movies that they've seen since Endgame. So they're really looking forward to it. So yeah, man, good stuff. Good stuff.
Awesome. And only a couple more months away. I can't believe I'm just surprised that this movie is actually coming out now after like, what this movie had been done filming in like 2020.
Yeah, they've been sitting on this movie forever, and the payoff might be there, man. It might be there. Um, Last couple honorable mentions. Congratulations to the Super Mario Brothers movie, crossing $1 billion officially as of today.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that Super Mario movie's crossed $1 billion. I'm not even gonna pronounce his name, Mr. Miyamoto himself, the head of Nintendo. He's got to be thrilled, man. I'm kind of curious. Like this world is about to explode for us. I think, Stuart. Um, I don't know if we predicted this movie would make $1 billion or not, but I think at one point we looked at like what did Illumination create, and we saw the Minions and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, those they hold on to $1 billion movie there. They definitely have $1 billion movie under their belt for sure. So it shouldn't come as a surprise, but damn, I am surprised. This movie's taken off. Have you had the opportunity to check it out, Stuart?
Nope, not yet. But based on the reactions, I feel like this is definitely going to be a movie I'll enjoy. I'm probably going to just wait until it comes out on streaming services. But I do intend to watch it.
And then a weird rumor dropped this past week, Stuart, from TMZ that Mila Kunis was reportedly in talks to play the Fantastic Four's The Thing. Have you heard of that?
The Thing.
The Thing, yes. This is from TMZ.com. It says Mila Kunis may be tapped to play the Thing in the new Fantastic Four movie. That is, if you buy a rumor that's running rampant on Twitter this morning. It says a movie insider named My Time to Shine, who's credited with getting scoops before trade publications and generally being in the know on superhero news, sent a bird app into the frenzy Friday, claiming that Mila was in talks to portray a female version of Ben Grimm. The person that dropped this says they are looking at Jewish actors, both male and female, for the Thing in the Fantastic Four. Mila Kunis is one of them. To be fair, I've never heard of this guy on Twitter. My Time to Shine, hello. So I immediately, I did put it up there just because it was just so bonkers of a report. Like I've never heard any crazy shit like that before. So I had to put it up on the Facebook page that TMZ was reporting it based off of this scooper. But I will say, literally within hours, the direct.com says that Mila Kunis breaks silence on Fantastic Four casting rumors. They had the opportunity to sit down with her during an interview on the James Corden show. They asked about these particular rumors. She says, I am not in the Fantastic Four, she declared, but then added that she's aware of the actors who will be. She says, but I know who is, but I don't want to get in trouble with the mouse, is what she says. So she's claiming she's not in there. And I think people were under the impression she might be in the movie because they caught her, or not caught her, but they saw her having lunch with the director, Shackman, at a deli for lunch. And she says, apparently, if you go to lunch with somebody that is also in the industry, you then start working together, according to the internet. We went out to a deli, we had lunch together, and the next day, I'm somehow in Fantastic Four. So she's denying it. Plenty have certainly denied the idea of their involvement in a movie. But this one I kind of believe, Stuart. Do you think there's any merit to the idea of Mila Kunis possibly being in Fantastic Four as the Thing of all people? And do you think she's pulling an Andrew Garfield on us, or do you think she's being honest?
As the Thing, no. However, given the fact that she said she knows all the actors who are going to be in the Fantastic Four movie, I feel like either someone she knows personally is going to be in the movie, or she is in the movie. I just don't think she's going to be playing the Thing. It'll probably be like, maybe a smaller role. I don't think unless she's Sue Storm, which would actually be pretty cool. But yeah, I do think there's a big possibility she will be in the movie itself. Yeah, I don't think she's going to be the Thing. I think it's safe to say that Marvel is going to be trying to play it mostly safe with this movie by keeping it as comic book accurate as they can. So I really doubt that they would want Mila Kunis as the Thing.
Yeah, it just feels like a weird flip for a movie that's had 3 bites at the apple and it just has not been that successful. Like, I just feel like you would definitely take much better care of these characters, if anything. Who knows? Maybe we got Ashton Kutcher as Johnny Storm or some shit that we
Yeah.
have no clue. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, because Ashton Kutcher has actually played smart people before, I wouldn't doubt if he ended up playing Reed Richards.
That would be bananas, man. That would be bananas. I'm gonna hit you guys with two more quick things before we move on for honorable mentions. Jonathan Majors is back in the news again. His alleged victim granted temporary order of protection ahead of court date. Stuart. It says Jonathan Majors' alleged victim was granted a temporary order of protection on Thursday, ahead of the May 9th court date where the actor will face charges of assault and harassment. Today, a judge granted the full temporary order of protection for the victim per the people's request and with the consent of the defense counsel. A full temporary order means that the two parties must not have any direct or third party contact, which remains in effect until the next court date. So yeah, it says Major's legal team still denies any wrongdoing and has released text messages and videos related to the situation. This is a standard in cases such as this, and we consented because Mr. Majors wants nothing to do with the woman who assaulted him, is what Major's attorney is saying. So yeah, they said that we've been transparent and cooperative with the DA, including giving district attorney ample evidence, which includes witness statements of Major's innocence. In fact, we recently provided a forensic medical opinion from a board of certified emergency medicine doctor and trauma specialist who has examined the photos and videos of the woman and concludes without hesitation that this woman did not have any injuries at the nightclub, and the injuries she later sustained did not come from Mr. Majors. So that's what his attorney is certainly saying, but we'll see how it all plays out in court. Again, he will be before the judge May 9th, but until then, there is a temporary order of protection for his alleged victim. So a lot of stuff going down, man. A lot of stuff.
It is the actual court case going to be kind of like public? Because is it going to be like the whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp case?
That I don't know. I wonder if this is like, I don't even know how big of a spectacle this is. Like, I wonder if he's just going to be standing in front of the judge, if he's going to plead guilty or not guilty. I don't think there's anything like opening statements here type of thing. I don't know if they've got they have to put like a case together, but I do think maybe they'll probably read him what his charges are and kind of see how he pleads. But I don't know what the next move after this honestly is. So we'll keep you guys posted once we have any tidbits of information. And last but not least, Stuart, real quick, I had to put this in here. I know we had a lot of honorable mentions today, but there was just so many juicy details. You know how Winnie the Pooh is now public domain. So pretty much anybody can make a Winnie the Pooh movie starring those characters if you like. I would assume as long as they're not in resemblance to that of whatever like Disney has created. And we've already seen an aspect of that with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We already got our first horror film. And Stuart, I have a big feeling the crazy is going to continue because Variety.com has mentioned that there is a Christopher Robin R-rated hybrid series in the works from Boat Rocker and Bay Mills Studio. It says an R-rated live action animation hybrid series about Winnie the Pooh's character Christopher Robin's in development. The official log line for the project, currently titled Christopher Robin, it says Christopher Robin is a delusional New Yorker navigating his quarter-life crisis with the help of the weird talking animals who live beyond a drug-induced portal outside his derelict apartment complex, the 100 Acres.
You know why I know this is a really dumb idea? Because the moment you mentioned Winnie the Pooh being public domain, I thought, man, I wonder if someone's going to make an R-rated property where someone sees Winnie the Pooh whenever they're on drugs. The fact that I thought about that the moment you mentioned it being public domain means that, like, this is clearly not the most creative direction you could take a Winnie the Pooh character.
Yo, I tell you, man, the ideas and the concepts that these people come up with. I mean, the fact that you literally came up, like, you knew what the concept of the story was going to be immediately before I even said anything, I think speaks volumes. But I'm just like, what's next? Like a Piglet slasher film or something? Like, I don't know what's about to happen, but maybe Tigger in like an Inception world or some crazy shit. Who knows? I'm really fascinated to see, like, maybe Eeyore's like in a John Wick level film. I have no clue, but they're doing some crazy shit with these characters right now. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. So yeah, that'll do it for our honorable mentions. I had to end on a high note there.
Perfect one to end on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Shout out once again to Blossom for this super chat. For those of you who don't know, we are currently monetized. If you would like to support the channel in any particular way, feel free to submit a super sticker, a super chat. It definitely puts you straight to the line for your comment or question and definitely be answered live on air. We'll stop what we're doing to go ahead and put our full attention on you for certainly donating to the channel. All that certainly will go to us developing our product design, continuing to get better equipment for us, and hopefully pay some of these guys for all their extreme hard work that they do for us each and every week. So, and hopefully some opportunities for us to go to more conventions. So your support definitely does go a long way here at the channel. All right, Stuart. I think it's that time, man. I think it's that time.
Awesome.
For us to get into some main topics. Are you ready for this, man?
Always.
Let's do it. So we're going to start off, guys, with our main topic that you guys saw on the front of our thumbnail. The Flash is in the news this week. We wind up getting ourselves a new official trailer for the film. CinemaCon this past week had a plethora of different panels, if you will. A lot of the big production studios out there, Sony, Disney, Lionsgate, you name it, were certainly in attendance. Paramount, all allowing moviegoers or movie theater chains, if you will, those first looks to kind of get them hyped for the movies that are going to be hitting their theaters, and hopefully allow these theater chains better ways of marketing and promoting some of these upcoming films. So CinemaCon is really a hype machine, not only for the movies that are coming out, but for just the movie industry, certainly as a whole. And on, I think it was this past Tuesday or Wednesday, not only did they have a Flash panel, but they actually showcased the entire Flash film to those certainly in attendance. I don't believe the full CGI was completely available and clean. I think they still got like a month or so before this movie winds up dropping, but people got their first look at this film and they went ballistic over it. They went bananas, saying that it certainly lives up to the hype that we've seen so far. And so even though we personally, as a general audience at home, did not get the opportunity to see the film, they were nice enough, Stuart, to go ahead and at least drop us a brand new trailer. And a brand new trailer is certainly what we wind up getting here this week, Stuart. So let's talk about this, buddy. I'm kind of curious, how many times have you had the opportunity to watch this trailer? And what are your overall thoughts on it, man?
Think I saw it about 3 or 4 times, and overall thoughts, yeah, shows me everything that I wanted it to show me from this upcoming movie. I didn't think it was like too much bigger than the first trailer. In fact, I think that if we didn't get this trailer, I still would have been just hyped alone from the first one. But I still thought it was a very fun trailer. I love that very last shot we get of like all 4 of them at the end, where it's like where it's like you got the 2 Flashes and Supergirl running on screen, and then you got the the Batman's, I can't remember what he calls it, but like the airplane thing that he
Oh, like
flies,
Batwing or something
the
like that?
Batwing, that's what it is. Yeah, I
I think
love
that's
it
what's
when you
called.
see that flying over them while they're running. I thought that was an amazing, awesome shot. The CG, I don't think it looks too bad, but like it definitely kind of feels dated at times, but I don't think it's bad. I just think it's like obvious, but not like enough to like take me out of the movie. Like if this is how it ends up looking in the final product, I'm not going to complain. But it is definitely quite obvious. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I think especially in that particular scene when Batman drops off the Flash and Supergirl and they kind of slide across the dirt, I'm like, it's a little cringy to me.
Yeah.
The CG does look a little bit off at times, but for the most part, I do think that visually it looks pretty stunning. The action pieces in here look huge and spectacular. I did love this trailer in the sense of giving us a little bit more of the meat for the main storyline. I love how this opens up with Michael Keaton's voice really kind of narrating a little bit about the idea like, man, you have the powers and the ability to go back and change time to save the people that you love. This is one of the reasons why I became Batman, thinking that, fighting this crime and stuff in some way was gonna bring my family back. And so I love that idea of Barry sort of realizing he kind of fucked up, and then now he's like, "Oh man, I got to fix this as best
Mhm.
as I can." And then I am assuming in the process of trying to fix it, maybe messes it up a little bit more. Who certainly knows? Have you seen the Japanese trailer for this?
Yes.
Also, there was almost an aspect of that I kind of appreciate even more about that trailer than this one, and it says that it does add a little bit more humor to it. Like there's a great when he's like posing in the beginning, getting ready to run, his lenses come down, and all of a sudden he's got the rabid fan that like startles him out of nowhere, sort of thing. I thought that was pretty funny. Just seeing him sort of interact with himself a little bit kind of gives me like I don't want to say back to the future vibes, but is there something cool about having to have yourself help yourself fix things that you kind of messed up on a little bit? It's not quite the whole, hey, if I look at you, I start to like dematerialize and turn invisible like Back to the Future's play on time travel. So I am kind of curious to see how Andy Muschietti and them do handle the concept of affecting time and time traveling here in this particular movie. But I thought it had a nice balance of humor, giving us the idea of the meat of, or at least the substance of what this film is certainly going to be. And I honestly think like a little bit of everybody shined in this trailer. Michael Keaton, we get to see him as Batman. I love the shot, Stuart, and I should have pulled the shot, but I love the shot of not only seeing his bat wings sort of like come down from the ceiling, but his little closet of Batman
Oh
costumes.
yeah.
I thought was pretty cool. He had a pretty impressive variant of costumes there over the years.
Yeah, I actually think it would have been kind of funny if they had like if they basically had recreated a bunch of different Batman costumes like the ones from the Dark Knight trilogy, and then maybe some of the
Uh,
costumes that we saw from Batman v Superman, but just like give it the color pattern of the Michael Keaton Batman suit. I think it was a slight missed opportunity for a funny Easter egg there that they didn't take. But other than that, yeah, I did think it was pretty cool overall.
he did have a costume that had like goggles on it that made me think of like Nightmare Batman from the Snyder cut. He did have a costume with goggles on there, and there was also a part of me that was looking to see if there was like a Kingdom Come Batman suit in there also,
Ooh,
but I wasn't able to find it.
that would
But
have been sick.
I think so too. If there is a complaint that I have in this trailer, Stuart, while I love Michael Keaton as an actor, we've had two major lines already revealed to us in this trailer where he's like, "I'm Batman," right? And then in this one, he says, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." But I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest, the pause between his wording is way too long for me, bro. Like, I wish he delivered the line a little bit better because he's like, "Want to get nuts?" Let's get nuts. I was like, no, what? Like, what? I mean, it's not that long, but it feels that long to me when he
Yeah.
delivers it. Same thing with the I'm Batman line. Like, who are you? And then you got the camera that comes up straight to his face, and he just looks at the camera. I'm Batman. Like, what? Come on, just say the line. It felt weird to me, man. I don't know what. Maybe it's just me, Stuart.
Hopefully they do it like that only for the trailer, and in the actual movie there won't be that annoying dramatic pause.
Way too long of a dramatic pause, man. Way too long.
I will say this though, the line, "You want to get nuts? All right, let's get nuts." I think that was a bit weird to put that in the movie because
A little too much fan service.
yeah, a little bit too much. It's the only time where the fan service kind of feels a little bit forced because, like in the other movie, the Batman 1989 movie, he says it because he needs to intimidate the Joker because the Joker just thinks like, oh, it's just some spoiled billionaire. What the hell is he
He's
gonna
like,
do?
I could be crazy too.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing something to basically, kind of show, hey, no, I can get nuts too. So it's kind of weird that they took that moment and decided to make that iconic within the universe of the Batman and not just kind of a meta thing that fans find to be, iconic. I don't know. Something about it just feels forced.
I can understand that. But that's like really, I think, one of my only complaints that I have so far. Everything else visually has looked great. I love seeing Michael Keaton in action. Him falling out of his own Batwing in the middle of the night. I think it's him. I don't know if they're infiltrating something, and he drops out and he leaves the two flashes up there on his own. I love the final shot of him like skydiving with the Batwing up in the sky, and it's illuminated by the moon. I think it's a gorgeous shot there. They've got a lot of visuals are just breathtaking in here, whether that be anything Superwoman does, anything the Flash does in here. The battle between Zod and everybody else looks like it's going to be incredibly epic wherever they're having this battle at. So they're definitely going to be pushing the envelope. And I heard Michael Shannon, who plays Zod, mention that he actually went to Zack Snyder first to see if Snyder would be okay with him reprising his role as Zod, because they love them some Zack Snyder. They created this with Zack Snyder, and so the idea of like changing the course of history and changing kind of what Snyder created in that sense. I love that Michael Shannon actually went to Snyder, and Snyder was cool with it. So I think it also goes to show you that there's probably not a lot of animosity between these filmmakers, right? Like, I just think it's something that fans make up on their own to kind of create that drama. You know what I mean? But I love that everybody's respectful enough of what others have certainly created.
Yeah, I think I even remember Kevin Smith recently on one of his podcasts mentioning that Zack Snyder is actually really excited about this movie. Because the two of them are actually pretty close, like, behind the cameras and all that. And the last thing I wanted to bring up though, when it comes to like the overall design of the movie, I really like both Flash costumes. Okay, I have a nitpick with this one. I do think the cowl feels a little weird, and I don't know why. There's just something about the cowl that just doesn't look right to me. Maybe it's because
a little bulbous. It looks, a little bulbous in the head, like a little too big in the head. Like
that might be
like Brainiac or the Leader.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Flash season 4 costume, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. It was kind of my least favorite costume from the Flash. But other than that, I think the actual suit, like, so everything from the neck down looks really freaking cool. And then the other thing that I'm really excited about is the other Flash costume, which is completely made from like, a previous Batman suit. I actually think, I know a lot of people are saying it looks terrible. I actually think it looks kind of cool. And, it doesn't look, polished, but I don't think it's meant to. I think it's supposed to look like it's, kind of thrown together because in universe, I think it is. But yeah, I do think overall, like, it's kind of a cool premise that they got going on. I am very curious to see if the new Flash, the one from, the Michael Keaton Batman universe, if he's going to end up being like the surprise villain, because you had that one scene in both trailers, the newest one and the Japanese trailer, where he's kind of like yelling at the other Barry saying no one else
No,
dies.
guys.
And
Mhm.
that kind of makes me think that Barry may have screwed something up that like essentially means that you can't screw it up without getting more and more people killed. So Barry's just kind of like, we have to stop now. But like the other Barry is probably going to be the one trying to fix Barry's, or like, you know, the main
Mm.
Barry's mistakes. And in doing so might end up turning into the villain.
Yeah, I am kind of curious how that's going to play itself out because, yeah, costume wise, costume wise, I don't think we've even visually had the opportunity to really see it cleanly in any of these trailers. Everything's have been pretty quick glimpses. I think maybe like toy scans and maybe like on the toy itself, you might get a better idea. But again, that's just a different scale, certainly altogether. So I do want to give that costume a chance. Hopefully, it'll look a little bit better when we get to the movie itself. And as far as his cowl, I will kind of agree with you in this sense. It almost feels like this is weird, but it almost feels like he's wearing like a biker helmet. You know, like he's wearing like a one of those biker helmets. You know, but and then like the cowl was built around it, almost like head protection gear in case he like trips or falls or some shit like that. So I wonder if that's where the concept of the design kind of came from, was like, hey, let's just put Ezra in literally like a bicycle helmet and then form this cowl around him because it does look a little bit bulbous in the head. But when you do see different angles, certain angles I think look pretty clean to me.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at like the posters and stuff that we've gotten, they haven't been the most flattering designs for the costume. I personally don't think, but hopefully once we get to the movie itself, it'll feel natural to us.
Also, I've been corrected. It's Flash season five's costume. Season four's was actually kind of a cool design.
I am kind of curious what other cameos we're going to be having in this movie. I want to say that there is probably a few. Um, I believe he also mentioned, Andy Muschietti did mention that some of them were cut out of this film. But I am really eager to see what they do here. Like for me, I think the idea of Barry running into himself, it feels like he's also trying to give that Barry of the world his abilities to, or his powers as well, to get him to his level to help him out with everything that's certainly going on. So I am kind of curious to see how these two speedsters and Kryptonian and Supergirl are going to be able to handle Zod and his army in and of itself. So it's like a round two, if you ask me, to kind of
Mm-hmm.
see how the world handles this Kryptonian invasion. So it should be some good stuff here, man. But any final thoughts in regards to the Flash trailer?
Looking forward to it. And like I mentioned, I don't think Zod's going to be the final villain in this movie. But
Mhm.
that's just a prediction I got.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I would not be surprised. A lot of people that have come out of this movie from first reactions have been saying nothing but glowing things about it. So it definitely makes me think that there's certainly more to this movie than what they have certainly shown us. Sasha Kaye here. Marcelino says Sasha Kaye yelling, What did you do?" Felt
Mhm.
powerful and very emotional. Yeah, I totally would agree. I love the idea that Barry and them are trying to remind her of who she is. Like, what I think she even has a line in here, like, what does this symbol mean? And he's got a kind of reminder of it also. It does make me wonder what happened with where Clark and them are at. Or how drastically things have certainly changed, but should be good, man. Should be a good one. I'm really pumped for this. But guys, look, if you've had the opportunity to check out the official trailer for the Flash and even the Japanese trailer, the international trailer that wind up dropping, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. We'll definitely continue to talk about this topic later on. So yeah, guys, mark your calendars. This is coming before we know it.
Yeah.
Um, so one trailer down, another trailer I think is worthy of talking about, Stuart, this week. I will say this: Transformers wind up dropping a brand new trailer this week. Rise of the Beast, giving us an opportunity to see this movie in better detail. I'm not gonna lie, ever since Bumblebee, which I was a really big fan of, I really wanted Travis Knight, the director, to certainly come back. I think he did a really great job of just setting the tone and a new vibe, if you will, for the franchise. Definitely give us some good action, but most importantly, some strong characters and some really great heartfelt and emotional moments, and just emotional ties between the Autobots and humans. And so after that movie, which I thought was a pretty good film and rather successful at the box office, I was kind of surprised that they not only didn't bring Travis Knight back, but they feels very much like they're expanding on certainly what they created. Um, and so we wind up having Transformers Rise of the Beasts that is in fact ready to drop. I think we might have had a couple of trailers. When it comes to Paramount and how they've handled Transformers, I've definitely been wary of that since the first Transformers film. Wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the second, honestly. I personally, unlike others, was a big fan of the third one. I thought the Battle of Chicago was tremendous and a great wrap up to the trilogy. And after that, it just became Michael Bay's sort of playground, if you will, and eventually just kind of fell off. And so, anytime Paramount announces Transformers to anything, there is always that hesitancy that I certainly have kind of going into a brand new Transformers film. But I got to admit, Stuart, I've been pretty impressed with some of the trailers. Finding out that this is a sequel to Bumblebee, or at least takes place after the events of Bumblebee, is certainly comforting that we're sticking into sort of that canon, that timeline from what we the reboot, if you will, of the Bumblebee movie wind up providing for us. So there is a little bit of intrigue to kind of see maybe Paramount has certainly changed things and are tackling this from a completely different direction. Maybe not so much Michael Bay ish, but definitely allowing for some great action, but really focusing on some of the characters. And so this past week at CinemaCon, we did get ourselves a brand new Transformers trailer, Rise of the Beast. And Stuart, I got to be honest, man, this looks fantastic. This looks incredible, at least visually. I'm still waiting to see more of the characters. Anthony Ramos from In the Heights is the main lead in here. He does have a co-lead with him, who we barely see in this trailer a little bit, but he finds himself clearly caught up in this war, certainly going on between the Autobots and Decepticons. But now introducing us to the Maximals here in their animal forms. I think it's cool just from the trailer alone, Stuart, that they mentioned that these Maximals clearly have been on Earth for centuries. We probably have not seen them. They've been living in their jungle all this time, away from human eyes. Really cool concept and designs for, I think, some of the Maximals that we have here, especially the Hawk. The bird one I think is pretty cool. I don't know the name of her, unfortunately. But I wanted to see more of the human characters. Like, if there was anything about the trailer I wanted to see more of, it's probably the lifestyle, the world that these humans kind of live in. What's their situation before the Autobots kind of come and pick them up and ask for their help, sort of thing. So I do hope that maybe in the next trailer we get a little bit more of that. But honestly, outside of that, the Transformers action looks absolutely incredible in here. Especially the final action sequence that we wind up having. It feels very Avengers Endgame-ish to me. Um, just really seeing how big this epic war is. I don't know if that's a flashback on Cybertron or if this is a flashback to early Earth days. I have no idea, but it was really cool getting the opportunity to kind of see the Maximals and Autobots certainly working together to go ahead and take down sort of like this massive army. So it definitely it just brings me back to like animated series, Transformers the movie sort of thing, like really diving deep into sort of that nostalgia, but just bringing it to a more modern day with the incredible special effects that we have these days. There's a really cool slow motion shot of one of the Transformers. I think it's one of the females where she's alongside one of the vans and this missile comes by and you just get a close-up shot of her face as the missile passes by her. Just really great attention to detail when it comes to creating these character designs. But The action was definitely there. I love the DMX soundtrack, especially considering that you're coming out of New York in 1994. It just feels extremely fitting. And so yeah, the DMX soundtrack definitely carried this along with the big bombastic action that we wind up having. So I'm hyped for this movie, man. I'm hyped for this movie. I think if anything, again, visually and Transformers wise, I think they've nailed it. But for me, somebody that truly appreciated the Bumblebee movie and what Haley Steinfeld and a lot of those human characters brought to Transformers, I'm hoping that there's still inklings of that here in Transformers Rise of the Beast, and they haven't just completely forgot about it, in an attempt to like, hey, we need to make a $1 billion big bombastic action film. Because it didn't feel like that case for Bumblebee. So I'm just hoping that they haven't sacrificed the character work and the emotional ties over the incredible action. But visually, this kicked my ass, man. I'm much more hyped for this movie now than I was before. But Stuart, let me go over to you, man. You had the opportunity to check out the Transformers Rise of the Beast trailer. What did you think, Stuart?
No rat trap, so 0 out of 10 for me. No, I'm kidding. That is actually one thing that kind of surprised me because he was like one of the most iconic characters from Beast Wars. So
Yeah, I
and
loved
we
his
don't
accent,
see
his
him at
attitude.
all in this trailer, so that was a bit bizarre. But other than that, I do have to say this does look like it's going to be a lot of fun at the very least. There are times during this trailer where I think the CG doesn't look very good, but that's kind of to be expected from these movies because there's a lot of it, so it makes sense that they're going to fumble every now and then. But yeah, like you mentioned, the action looks like it's going to be absolutely fantastic. um you know I definitely, as a kid, watched a lot more Beast Wars than I did Transformers, so it's going to be kind of cool to finally see these characters debut in a Transformers movie. And then, of course, Unicron.
Oh,
I
I'm
got
so glad you brought him up.
so pissed off from the fifth Transformers movie when they were like, "Oh, Unicron is Earth," and it made no sense at all. But now we see Unicron in this, and it looks very accurate to the original Transformers movie from the 80s. And I love that he's planet sized, just like the original cartoon. And yeah, it makes sense that this is the villain that both the why do I always forget the name of it? The Maximals, yeah. The Maximals and the Autobots have to team up against, because this goes beyond any threat that, either the Decepticons or the what I'm looking at the wiki page because it's been so long since I've watched
Oh yeah, I can
Beast
never
Wars.
remember the opposite of the
Predacons, that's what they
Maximals.
are.
Predacons. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's definitely beyond anything that the Decepticons or Predacons can do. So it's going to be really awesome to see the two of them team up, and then I hope this leads to some Beast Wars spin-off shows, because I think if this or not spin-off shows but spin-off movies, because I think if this movie does really well, the fact that they mentioned that they've been on Earth for a long time means that we could get some potential flashbacks to their time
That's a
on
good
Earth,
point.
before the events of this movie. So I'm excited.
That would be pretty cool if we get like a prequel from a prequel, like even before Bumblebee, of the Adventures of the Maximals and Predacons. I think that would be actually be pretty cool to see, to be perfectly frank with you. But maybe that is what they're um, leading up to. Also, I'm glad you brought up Unicron. I love the line when the Anthony Ramos character is like, "So how big is this guy?" And he's like, he's about the size of a planet. So we might need somebody the size of a planet too." I thought that was actually pretty cool. Like visually seeing it, like getting ready to engulf one of the planets in space was actually pretty cool looking. I will be fascinated to kind of see how they handle something of that size. But you make a good point. The idea of like this being even bigger than just the Autobots themselves, how they really need like everybody to kind of come together in order to kind of stop this type of thing from certainly happening. What's up, Blossom? She says the movies really captured how Hasbro imagined them. I mean, geez, oh Ashley, I would agree. I mean, I think they still definitely have that G1 look that from like the classic 80s sort of style. But at the fact that Hasbro's not afraid to really go kind of cartoonish in regards to like the the epic scale and level of things, the fact that they're kind of embracing that a little bit more, I kind of dig it, man. I'm kind of digging it. So we'll see if the execution of it though works well here at the for the film itself. But thank you very much, Blossom, once again for the super chat. It really goes a long way. I'm trying to think if there's any other tidbits of information or things here from Transformers. Marcelino says, I didn't watch the new Transformers trailer because of the fear that they might have spoilers. I'll watch it after I've seen the movie. Yeah, but there's a lot more other characters in here. Again, I'm hoping the next trailer that we get does showcase a little bit more of the humanity side of this particular film. But if anything, I think they definitely did the job of a trailer, and that's to go ahead and get us hyped for certainly what is to come. And look, Stuart, you mentioned the idea of maybe wanting more Beast Morphers or maybe a possible spin off of something. Oh, well, before we even get into that, I do want to
Beast Morphers.
Beast Morphers, Beast Wars, excuse me. Before I get into that, though, in regards to Rise of the Beast, they did go ahead and get the opportunity to sit down, I think, with the director or writer of the film. Yeah, the director teases a major change to Autobots in the epic final battle. They says Capel plans to use any opportunity to explore a kind of year one approach to Optimus Prime and give fans a sense of how he became a great leader. This is what Capel says. He says, without spoiling the film, I can't, but I will say that there is a moment towards the end of the movie that will really excite people to see. He says, where'd the rest of the line go? Oh, he says, we take the term Autobot and bring it to a whole new level. I can't go into any more detail, but it's a very emotionally powerful moment in the third act of the movie that you'll recognize when you see it in the theater. I pay close attention to all my followers on Twitter, even the crazy fans out there. So I'll be looking to see their reaction on social media after the movie comes out. I think audiences are going to be blown away by it when they see it on the big screen. Our climactic battle sequence at the end of the film is going to pay off in a big way. Any ideas what he might be talking about there, Stuart?
All right, I have a spoiler prediction.
Oh, you have a prediction? Okay, what's your prediction there?
I think this could mean the death of Optimus Prime and the rise of Hot Rodimus Prime. Just like it, because I mean, we're doing the villain from the 1989 movie, so why not go with was that movie 89? I think it was. Well, the 80s movie, regardless. So why not go with the same, tragic death, except for instead of doing it at the very beginning of the movie, wait till the last act of the movie.
Ooh, okay. You might be onto something there, Stuart. You might be onto something there, man. So big changes, man. Fingers crossed. Something that definitely worth. So yeah, at least do it at the end, right? So like all the kids aren't crying like we were back in the 80s, or
yeah, it's like, how am I supposed to enjoy all this action? They just killed Optimus Prime. Along with like 20 other Transformers that never got like the same memorial that Optimus got in that movie.
Yeah, man. So it'll be interesting. So yeah, we got Transformers Rise of the Beast set to go ahead and drop this summer for you guys. But since Stuart did mention the idea and the concept of more spin-offs, we do have more information for you guys. This actually came as a surprise to me. But at Power Morphicon, at fucking CinemaCon, why do I got Power Rangers on the brain today? At CinemaCon, they did reveal to us that there is an animated Transformers movie in the works titled Transformers 1. This comes to us from Deadline.com. It says Paramount sets its first animated Transformers movie, voice cast to include quite a few. You've got Chris Hemsworth along with Scarlett Johansson, plus more. So let's get into the details real quick. It says the film, Paramount Animation, Hasbro, and E1 are teaming on the upcoming animated Transformers movie, now titled Transformers 1. It's going to be directed by Josh Cooley and executive produced by Steven Spielberg, of all things. And it is actually scheduled to release July 19th of 2024. It says the film will tell a story of how a young Optimus Prime, played by Chris Hemsworth, and Megatron went from being brothers in arms to sworn enemies. Scarlett Johansson is voicing Alita. Let me go ahead and bring up actually the cast so you guys can see the cast. So you've got the origin story's key voice cast includes Chris Hemsworth. You're going to have Brian Tyree Henry, who's going to be playing Megatron. You've got Scarlett Johansson is voicing Alita. You've got Keegan Michael Key, who's going to be voicing Bumblebee. And John Hamm, who's going to be playing Sentinel Prime. And Lawrence Fishburne, who portrays Alpha Trion. You know, Stuart, this kind of almost feels like the Netflix Transformers trilogy that they wind up sort of dropping on Netflix. In the sense that, you know, it does very much focus on the idea. At this point, I think Optimus Prime and Megatron are definitely split in the Netflix series. So this is probably taking place a little bit before then, before those events. But the fact that they have Sentinel Prime and Alpha Trion in here, I believe those two characters were both showcased in the Netflix special, if I'm not mistaken, also. But yeah, some powerhouses here for the animated Transformers movies. Transformer One. How excited are you for this, Stuart?
Pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too.
Because yeah, I really like that trilogy. Well, I actually haven't finished it. I watched the first 2 seasons of it, but then I
Yeah.
never finished the actual tail end of the trilogy. But I probably will go back to it at some point. But that all being said, I thought it was really cool what they were able to pull off. With kind of a modest budget, I'll say. So an animated Transformers movie with what I'm assuming is going to have a pretty decent sized budget. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, seeing how that goes. I mean, we haven't had an animated Transformers movie since the 80s, so this is kind of a big deal, honestly.
And if there is any question that I have, I am kind of curious if this is like canon to the bigger overall story that we have, like between Bumblebee, Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I wonder if Transformers One sort of takes place within that same canonical timeline, or if this is going to be something sort of completely separate. But I love the idea of something prequel related. You know, this feels like this is going to take us back to Cybertron. So it looks like we'll be back on their home planet. And you're right. So we haven't had an animated Transformers movie in decades. So I think the idea of bringing one back to the big screen is certainly going to go a long way. I do want to see real quick though, because I believe, who was it? Was it Enrique? He says, is Transformers One in production by Paramount Animation and Nickelodeon Movies? Yes, it's Paramount Animation, Hasbro, and Entertainment One are teaming up for the upcoming animated. So no Nickelodeon included in here, but maybe I'm wrong. Oh yeah, Ramsey Nato is the president of Paramount Animation and Nickelodeon Animation, and they made the announcement Thursday during Paramount's slate at CinemaCon. He says, I'm so excited and proud to be working with Hasbro and E1 to bring the first animated Transformers movies to theater for a never-before-told story. I'm honored to have such incredible talents come together, portray these well-known and much-loved characters in an origin story at the heart of the franchise. So yeah, it doesn't mention if this is within canon or within the same timeline as Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast, but hopefully that'll answers your question, Enrique, in regards to who is putting this together. So yeah, Paramount Animation, Hasbro, and Entertainment One. But
Um,
yeah.
I'm definitely going in with the assumption that this is canon, at least to Bumblebee and this upcoming Transformers movie. I think with the way the events are playing out in this new Transformers movie, I think it's kind of safe to say that the Michael Bay ones are just in their own like different universe.
Mhm.
Then again, I mean, the movies have had continuity issues from the beginning, so maybe I could be wrong. But
No, I
I'm
think you
just
might be right
going
though.
into the assumption that this is a whole new universe that we're going into.
Yeah, me too. I mean, when I think of Bumblebee, I very much think of Bumblebee as sort of a reboot to this world. That it's like, hey, we got our Michael Bay stuff out of the way. Let's kind of start from the very beginning. Well, not necessarily maybe the very beginning, but a fresh start here. And I think that's what Bumblebee certainly was. And with Rise of the Beast taking place years after Bumblebee in the 1994, I believe, is when Rise of the Beast takes place. I'm with you. I do hope that this is part of that timeline and canon in regards to what they are certainly creating so far. And maybe look, it could be one of those things too, right? Where it's, Rise of the Beast, if your prediction comes true and Optimus Prime does die at the end of this, what great way to certainly have him brought back, if you will, or to explore a different part of his life. By doing an animated movie. It kind of almost feels like the, hey, we killed Han Solo in Force Awakens, but look, guys, we got a Solo movie coming. Maybe it plays up to that in the sense of like, hey, people might miss Optimus Prime, but let's just reinforce that, hey, we got plenty of stories that we can still kind of tell them in. But again, that's just your speculation. And my speculation also, we'll see what Rise of the Beast winds up coming out to turn out to look like. But I'm excited that we're getting a Transformers animated movie. So yeah, guys, let us know your levels of thoughts, and what do you guys think of the casting choices? I mean, pretty strong, wouldn't you say, Stuart? Is there anybody in particular that you feel like, I'm not quite sure, but I'm definitely going to give them a chance? Like, I love the idea of Scarlett Johansson as Alita. I think that's a really great one. How do you feel about Keegan Michael Key as Bumblebee, or John Hamm as Sentinel Prime? I feel like some of these are pretty good choices.
Honestly, 5 of these 6 castings I'm all 100% for. The one that I'm not super on board with, at least at the moment, is Chris Hemsworth as Optimus Prime. I just think his voice, his overall demeanor is something very different than the one I've come to know from all the other Optimus Primes that have come before. So I don't know. I'm a little hesitant on that one. I think all the other ones are perfect, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, I am kind of curious as to how, because he's got that accent and everything. I'm kind of curious to see how he'll come across doing some voice work for Optimus. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts, your levels of excitement for anything Transformers related right now. There's a ton of stuff to be hyped about if you're a Transformers fan. But yeah, definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below, and we'll definitely continue this conversation throughout the rest of the week. What else we got, Stuart? Let's dive into some Marvel slash Sony talk for you guys as we change course. Still sticking with our CinemaCon coverage a little bit here, as we're going to be discussing some Sony pictures, ladies and gentlemen. The Spider-less Spider-Verse, that is the Sony Pictures, is back with some new information. This time highlighting Kraven the Hunter, Stuart. You guys know how I feel when it comes to Spider-Man movies. When it comes to Spider-Man, at least when it comes to Sony doing their thing. Anytime Sony teams up with Marvel to do a Spider-Man picture, always tends to knock it out of the park. But if you ask Sony to certainly do an individual movie, especially following a lot of these villains and anti-heroes, they've been pretty subpar, rather mediocre in regards to just classic superhero comic book movies, I guess, that they've kind of been dishing out, at least for me personally. Look, if you were big fans of Venom 1 or Venom 2, more praise to you. It just didn't necessarily work for me. So I officially coined Sony the company of mediocrity at this point, until they certainly prove me otherwise. But Kraven Hunter is in the news. We've got Aaron Taylor Johnson that's going to be doing the role of Kraven the Hunter. I think, Stuart, we talked about this a while back for one of the recent movies he was in, Bullet Train. I personally have not really been that impressed with Aaron Taylor Johnson as an actor, maybe just based off of the roles that I certainly have seen him in. Him and Godzilla really didn't do too much for me. Him as Quicksilver, not so much either. I'm sure there's probably maybe one or two other things I've seen him in that I didn't necessarily really care for. But watching Bullet Train really gave me a different appreciation for Aaron Taylor Johnson, to the point to where I was thinking to myself, maybe somebody like Aaron Taylor Johnson can pull off this role as Kraven the Hunter. Maybe his performance definitely matches the intensity that we need for Kraven, but my hesitation always comes from a Sony script. So we'll see if the execution certainly works out. But this week, over at CinemaCon, those in attendance did get themselves a first glimpse at the Kraven the Hunter movie. And Aaron Taylor Johnson himself came out and talked a little bit about it in regards to the rating potentially for this movie. And maybe, Stuart, maybe this is the godsend that this movie needs. But let's talk about this here real quick. This comes to us from Deadline.com. Kraven the Hunter star Aaron Taylor Johnson tells exhibits at CinemaCon, F yes, it's going to be rated R. The Marvel pick teaser was also shown, which is really exciting. They unfortunately did not release it out to the public. I wonder if there's a leaked version out there somewhere. I might have to search YouTube real quick and see. I don't know. Have you seen anything out there, Stuart, for this movie at all?
Nope.
Yeah, me either. I haven't either. But let's see exactly what they are talking about here in this article. So it says the start of Sony's extension of the Spider-Verse. Taylor Johnson via video set up the teaser by saying, will it be rated R? Fuck yes, it's going to be rated R. So he definitely had to drop that F-bomb there. One of the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, Kraven is the most iconic and notorious anti-heroes. He has had encounters with Venom, Black Panther, among many others, and is one of Spider-Man's best known and most formidable enemies. Is that really the only line that Aaron Taylor Johnson said the entire thing? I thought it was going to be a longer quote than that. But yeah, will it be rated R? Fuck yes, it's going to be rated R, guys. It says the teaser begins with Kraven facing off with Australian mercenaries, stabbing them in the neck and biting off one's nose. He's a no-nonsense Marvel anti-hero. Russell Crowe plays his dad, teaching him to respect the world around him. And there's a shot of him with a young Kraven feeling the spirit of a dead cow. We are predators, Crowe tells his son in a voiceover. At one point, we also get to see Kraven's brother, Chameleon, played by the White Lotus's Fred Hetchinger, telling him, you're just another man hunting for a trophy. A voice in tone says there is an animal in each of us. Ooh, Stuart. It says there's a shot of Kraven in a Lux office behind a desk with a crossbow as his victim enters. Ariana DeBose, who plays Calypso, tells Kraven, you're a goddamn lunatic. And then Rhino also briefly appears in footage. He says, do you want to know why they call me the Rhino? As his arm morphs. It says, yeah, screenplay is going to be written by Art Markham and Matt Holloway, along with Richard Wenk. So yeah, the movie is set to go ahead and drop the first weekend in October. October 6th, the movie drops here this year. That's man, that I felt like that crept on me quick, Stuart. I wasn't expecting this movie to be ready to go ahead and drop this year. But yeah, they're doing big things here now with Kraven the Hunter. So now that you've had the opportunity to hear that, Stuart, from just teases of what the first look shows, Aaron Taylor Johnson saying, F yes, this is going to be a rated R movie. How you feeling, man?
I'll start with the positives. Number one, R-rated. That's always cool, especially because Sony needs to start trying new things and not just copying the MCU because they clearly really suck at it. So I think starting with an R-rated movie is a good way to go. Russell Crowe, always a win for me. So finding out that Russell Crowe is going to be playing his dad, that gets me excited. The Rhino thing threw me off, and not necessarily in a good way.
I feel you.
On the one hand, cool, the Rhino's going to be in it, but on the other hand, he morphs. Like,
I don't know what to tell you, man.
I don't know. I don't know. I always like the idea of it being a costume that he literally gets stuck into and he can't get out of. But you know, I guess we'll wait and see. Maybe I'll enjoy what they do with it in the actual movie. But as of now, I guess that's like my one kind of complaint. I also really hope like Rhino isn't the main villain in the movie. But yeah.
You know, I feel you there, man. I feel you there. When I read that line, I was like, he morphs?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so immediately I'm like, this isn't the same guy from Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly not. And it was one of those things when I said he morphs, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. If somebody morphing into the Rhino, and I was like, can he just have the costume? And I just kept thinking, God, that would just look so fucking ridiculous. I could just feel him wearing like Rhino pajamas. I'm sure they would make it look significantly better. But then I just went back to the idea of like, I almost wouldn't mind it being mechanical like we had it again in Spider-Man 2. But if that's the case, why not just bring back the same dude that played him in Spider-Man 2? Was it Paul Giamatti?
Mhm.
But I'm definitely under the impression this is not Paul Giamatti. So this is definitely a completely different Rhino that we're going to be getting there. So yeah, in terms of that, yeah, that definitely does have me concerned also, Stuart. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I feel like if it was Paul Giamatti, there would actually be people talking about it, and of course, you'd see articles online being like, "Yay, it is all connected."
Oh yeah, that's true. People would definitely be putting the pieces together. As far as it being R rated, I will say, look, I do think that that's a move in the right direction. The idea of him stabbing somebody and biting somebody's nose off is pretty hardcore to say the least. So I am glad that they are going rated R. I don't necessarily think that that's what held back movies like Venom 1 and 2 or even Morbius from being successful, but I got to think that it might help a little bit um to really showcase like, hey, this dude is just a bad dude, despite how we want to promote him as certainly anti-hero. He definitely has some deadly and bad ways about him. I do find it interesting here the concept of Calypso, talking about the idea like you just want this for a trophy sort of thing. So I am kind of curious to see like what personal inner struggles, if any, Craven certainly might had. Like, is he trying to live up to the expectations that his father certainly had set for him? I think you make a great point that when it comes to Russell Crowe, him as a father or anybody's father, I mean, he could play freaking Jarrell. And I loved him in Superman as that sort of father figure and sort of setting the tone. So I do think he just brings sort of like that gravitas already to a film once you add him and you make him the father that's trying to raise his son, sort of thing. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some pressure that maybe Craven himself kind of feels on him. So I do wonder if that's the struggle that he might be dealing with in this particular film. But I love the characters in here. We're establishing Calypso. We're establishing especially the chameleon, whether or not he has his abilities in here as far as shape shifting goes already, or if this is before that time period for him. I just think it's cool that we're setting up a lot of these characters in that sense. But I'm still always going to be, Stuart, a little hesitant about this until I actually see it for myself. I no longer believe Aaron Taylor Johnson is the weakest link in this film, like I did before. But again, and maybe I'll have a different perspective actually seeing a first trailer when it winds up dropping. Um, but I am interested, but very much very hesitant. I'm not going to hold my breath about this movie because I felt like some of the concepts of other films in the past have felt promising, and the execution just wasn't there. So this movie is going to have to grow on me much more. But I no longer feel like Aaron Taylor Johnson is the problem. So I'm hoping I'm right there, but we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, and going back to the R-rated thing, like while yeah, I don't think like Venom and Venom 2 would have necessarily been more successful or worse off with an R rating. I do think for Venom 2 specifically, it really would have improved a lot of the action scenes because what you ended up getting a lot of times were scenes where something violent was about to happen and then they had to immediately cut away.
Mhm.
And I think it would have been a lot cooler. It would have flowed together a lot better if they were able to show everything, I think. So hopefully with
Me too.
Craven and them not having any restraints, being okay with going full on R rated, hopefully we get to see something like that from this movie.
Yeah, you're right, and who knows? Maybe it opens up the script for much better opportunities. Maybe rated R really held them back creatively. Not being rated R held them back creatively in regards to really where they wanted to push the envelope for the film, and maybe it's kind of hindered it in the past. So you're right. There is a possibility that rated R creatively helps them in regards to creating a script that's proper for this character and makes it feel as authentic and genuine as you can. Marcelino, he says, Craven the Hunter could work by making it a Predator film, but have Craven in it. That would be pretty legit, I think.
That would make a good like horror scenario. It's like
It
the
would.
main person you're trying to survive is the Kraven the Hunter.
That would be pretty cool. I like that idea. Like, just let them loose in the jungle and just
Hmm.
have Kraven hunt them down. That would be pretty legit. I would love that. Enrique says, "Did Rhino appear of every Spider-Man series or movies?" No, I just believe in the Andrew Garfield one.
Hmm.
I don't think I've seen him in any other movies.
You can kind of
Was he
see
name dropped?
what would you call it? Like his outline at the end of the last Spider-Man movie, like when all the
Oh,
different
No
people
Way
that know
Home,
who's
right?
when you get
Yeah, he
like
was
all
in
the
the
people that
sky.
know who Peter Parker is Spider-Man, you can kind of see both Rhino and Scorpion at one
And
point.
I think you might even be able to see Craven in there too, like his
Ooh.
silhouette, I think. But that's a good pickup. I'm glad you brought that up. Um, let's see here. Uh Alessandra Novola is the actor who will play Rhino. I've only seen him in Jurassic Park 3, where he played the worst written character in a Jurassic Park series. Who is that? Alessandra? What is his name? No, Novola?
Yeah, Navola. Huh.
I don't know who he's referring to. Oh, yeah, I barely recognize the dude. But okay. Hey, I'll roll with it. I'll roll with it. But thank you for bringing that up, Marcino. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. What's your expectations and level of excitement for Craven the Hunter being played by Aaron Taylor Johnson? Are you hyped that it's going to be rated R? Are you like, finally, Sony? Thank you so much. Do you think it's certainly going to help out this film? And what's your level of expectations for it? Go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And from one Sony slash Marvel story to another Marvel story. Mahershala Ali's film from the MCU, Blade, is back in the news, Stuart, as they get ready for production sometime later on this year. As this movie is set to go ahead and get in front of cameras here relatively soon. But this past week, we have a little bit more of a shakeup for this project. And unfortunately, Stuart, this is one MCU project that has had several shakeups that have not felt very reassuring to me over the past year or however long it's been since this movie has been announced. I mean, we've heard stories already of like Mahershala Ali sometime last year, possibly being a little bit frustrated, aggravated with the process and how things are certainly going. It just feels as though this project has been stuck in the mud trying to kind of get the concept and the idea right of, what this Blade movie is certainly going to be. They've been through several writers. They've been through one director already, and they have had to go ahead and bring on another director. So it feels like this project has been quite the revolving door for Marvel Studios when it comes to the Blade film. So this upcoming story might either give you confidence or further doubt about the direction in which this film is going. But I want to go ahead and bring this up, Stuart, because I'm just surprised that there have been so many comings and goings. This feels like a Lucasfilm project all of a sudden, with how many people they've had to drop and bring other people in. But let's go ahead and dive into this because if I'm not mistaken, Stuart, I believe this marks the third writer for this movie. As a Hollywood Reporter is saying that Marvel's Blade nabs True Detective creator Nick Pizzolatto for writing duties. This is an exclusive report. So it looks like we might be on to our third, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe fourth. Let's go ahead and dive into this article and see here as they've nabbed themselves a brand new writer. It says Nick Pizzolatto has gone Marvel. The creator of the acclaimed crime anthology True Detective is working on Blades, Marvel Studios' vampire thriller starring Mahershala Ali. The development marks a True Detective reunion as Ali starred in seasons 3 of his of Nick's HBO show. Blade is batting its wings towards a late May start of production in Atlanta, with Jan Demange, who helmed the pilot HBO's series Lovecraft Country is currently in the director's chair. The feature is casting up and most recently added rising scream queen Mia Goth to the call sheet. And then we also have Delroy Lindo, who's also on the roster. The article does state too, it says Blade recently has a script by Michael Starbury, who owned an Emmy nomination for penning an episode of Ava DuVernay's drama When They See Us. Sources say that Pizzolatto is working off of Starbury's draft and has been keyboarding for a few weeks now. Um, there have been a couple other writers in here, though, Stuart, if I'm not mistaken, because um, Michael Starbury that they mention in here, um, while they are working off of Starbury's draft, he certainly was not the first person to go ahead and do it. We had Stacey Osei Kufor, who was the original writer for this. And then you had Michael Starbury and now Nick Pizzolatto. There's also another article I had read from, I believe it was Collider.com at one point, that actually said Stacey Osei Kufor, while she was no longer there, that they had given writing duties to the X-Men 97 writer for the animated series. Um, I can't remember his name, and then maybe Michael Starbury, and now Nick Pizzolatto. So we've got like 3 or 4 different writers' hands in this cookie jar of putting together this movie. And again, the director, Jan Demange, that they have now, is not the first director that they had on this movie. So Stuart, you know, production for this feels a little bit all over the place. But if I could be honest,
Mhm.
while it has been all over the place, the idea of bringing in Nick Pizzolatto is a little comforting to me. And I say that because of the fact that th- him and Mahershala Ali have worked together. The idea that he is the creator of True Detective immediately kind of now sets um, the tone that you want for this movie. And I think the fact that that season of True Detective, when they both did work side by side, was like one of my favorite seasons of the show. I think it really brought the best out of Mahershala Ali. He just killed the material that they wind up having for him. And so, if I can kind of get those same True Detective vibes, but we also have like hints of previous scripts that add for like that vampire thriller, I think it could be a pretty good mix of storytellers here, kind of combining their thoughts and putting together an interesting script. Um, if anything, I do want to pick your brain to see like if you know any projects or movies that have had like multiple writers on them, 2 or 3 already attached, where maybe the movie result when it comes out feels discombobulated, or maybe you have seen instances where it's like, hey, you know, they came together pretty well in putting together sort of that script. And that's kind of what I'm hoping that we get here. You know, don't get me wrong, there is a sense of worry for me because, you know, honestly, Stuart, when this movie was originally announced, this announcement kind of came out of nowhere, if you remember. I believe Mahershala Ali had just come off fresh of his Oscar win that he wound up having at the Oscars. It might have been shortly after that we had D23 that unveiled to us the Blade movie, where Kevin Feige himself said, Mahershala Ali called me saying, I want to be Blade. I want to do a Blade movie. And Kevin Feige said, hey, whatever Mahershala Ali wants, Mahershala Ali gets. And they made a Blade movie. And the concern that I had, Stuart, is, and it's still a concern that I have, is did Marvel even want to do this movie in the first place? Like, was this movie even part of your overall plan, your overall schemes to bring this to life? Or did Ali sort of just supplant himself into this world? And now you have to sort of work around everything and figure out how do we fit him in here? Look, there's a sign that maybe this was part of the bigger plan because we did see the voiceover of Blade at the end of the Eternals, right? We are also getting some horror specials in Werewolf by Night, so they are certainly exploring that world. But it just feels like this initially may not have been part of their plans, which is why there have been so many more hiccups compared to other MCU projects that we've gotten sort of in the past before. And maybe the idea of them going through all these different several writers is a perfect example of that, of them really trying to find how to make it fit and find that right tone. And maybe they have, but now you bring somebody in like Nick who's kind of bringing it all together with the way that his vision usually works for a lot of his projects, I think could add a nice additional flavor to this Marvel film. So, again, levels of hesitancy. I don't want to necessarily get too excited, but I think Nick as a creator is amazing. If you've watched any of the True Detective series, seasons 1 and 3 has me really excited. We literally just saw a trailer for like season 4 like 2 weeks ago or a week ago with Jodie Foster. That certainly has me excited as well. So I do think Nick brings a great dynamic to this movie. I'm just hoping it's in time for once they get in front of the cameras that the script is legit. Um, and it's not a case of it's all over the place and we're sort of writing as we go, because I don't think the MCU at this point can really um handle one of those type of movies, especially if the execution of it doesn't succeed. So hesitant, but I do think Nick is a great addition. And I think probably just what Mahershala Ali leads to not only bring his frustrations to a cool, but also maybe get him even fully more invested in this character if he wasn't already beforehand. But so I do think that there is some hope here, Stuart. But how do you feel about this? The third or fourth writer on this movie, have you seen situations where it's gone bad or gone good? And what do you think about his addition in general to the film? Is this something that excites you or what? What's your thoughts?
I guess a situation where it went really bad, you could say, was Rise of Skywalker. A situation where I think it turned out okay was, the 2017 Power Rangers movie. So when things like this happen, when mix-up like these happen, it's not always a bad thing, but it does definitely worry me quite a bit, just like you. I think I'm definitely more in the realm of cautiously optimistic. You were mentioning earlier that maybe one of the issues was maybe this wasn't even part of Marvel's overall plan, but to me I feel like it shouldn't really matter if it was part of the big plan, because even if it isn't, Blade is one of those characters that could really stand on his own. He doesn't really need to connect to any of the stuff, at least not in the beginning. Like, I'd say, like, if I was pretty much in charge of the Blade movie, I wouldn't really even bother trying to like throw in too many connections with Marvel. I would do it pretty much how they did Werewolf by Night, have it be kind of like standalone, wait until we see this movie's success, wait until we see where other MCU movies are going, and then decide, hey, does Blade fit into this whole thing? And if he does, then kind of work your way towards kind of fitting him into the bigger picture. So yeah, I think because of the change in writers, I'm a little bit worried, but of course, now we got a True Detective writer working on this. So that's a huge win in my book. So I really hope I really hope the best for this movie. I really hope everything works out, but like you, I'm definitely cautiously optimistic. You're muted.
Yeah, definitely same. I do think Nick just brings that, like, I don't want to say grounded so much, but just like that, just really gritty, sort of dark vibes to his writing. And I think a movie like Blade could definitely benefit certainly from that. So I do think Nick is a great pickup. It'll just be interesting to kind of see how a lot of these rewrites and just how many credits are going to be on the story, on the script once the credits start rolling at the end of this movie. So it should be pretty interesting. But this is a movie I definitely want to see. I would agree with you, Stuart, the sense that like this movie could easily be its own individual film, standalone, not necessarily have to connect to anything in the bigger picture. So I think that's what I don't want to say concerns me, but I think that's what makes me curious as to their decision to even have like a voiceover of him at the end of the Eternals, kind of immediately connecting him to the MCU and the was it the Black Knight sort of mythology. So I am really interested to see how that kind of all comes full circle in here. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I definitely want this movie to succeed because I love Mahershala Ali. I love the Blade character. I love the previous Blade movies. I do think there definitely is a place for him to belong in this world of the MCU. I just hope the execution and all the time and effort of bringing in new writers, bringing in new directors really pays off. And hopefully they've made the right creative moves to bring this movie to life. But we'll definitely keep you guys posted and we'll see how this movie turns out in the future.
Fingers crossed.
Definitely fingers crossed. All right, guys. With that out of the way, we got two last topics for you guys, and this is going to be in the world of DC, whether that be movies or television. And as we eagerly await more announcements from that of James Gunn, we're waiting for the remainder of Slate 1 to certainly be revealed. But he's a busy man right now. Homeboy is currently putting together Superman Legacy. He just delivered his final script for the project. If I'm not mistaken, I believe filming might begin at the very top of the year. They're diving heavily into pre-production right now. But the world of the DCU is officially wide open. We don't really know what the future holds after the slate that we have, in fact, been presented. But one of the things that James Gunn has mentioned over the years is his love of working with Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. We also know that Margot Robbie herself is quite the activist and trying to bring somebody like a Poison Ivy to life. Opposite of Harley Quinn, is that something that she is very much looking forward to doing at some point in time. So, considering how much James Gunn loves working with Harley and or Margot and the rest of his Suicide Squad family, it feels very much like a big possibility that at some point in time down the road, Poison Ivy will in fact be revealed to us. And while we don't necessarily have any casting announcements announced as of yet, there are plenty of people that are certainly throwing their name in the hat to possibly be Poison Ivy. And one of them, Stuart, this past week came out, none other than Karen Gillan herself. That's right. Another big fan of James Gunn here, as she has just wrapped up her trilogy with Guardians of the Galaxy. They were just at the premiere this past week, but this comes to us from an exclusive from Total Film. Speaking with the Guardians of the Galaxy star Karen Gillan, she wants to play Poison Ivy in the DCU. Is she a natural redhead, Stuart? I believe she is, right?
I believe so. I
I believe.
haven't really seen her in many things where she isn't a redhead, so I would assume it's natural.
Yeah, I believe it is natural. But she is in the news. She wants to go ahead and play Poison Ivy. She says, I always thought that Poison Ivy was really fun. So maybe something like that would be cool. She says, honestly, if James asked me to play an alien that sits in the background of a shot and doesn't talk, I would say yes. Because working for him has been one of the great joys of my career so far. She goes on to call Guardians of the Galaxy franchise a gift that keeps on giving because she didn't think her tenure as Nebula would last very long. She says, I was under the impression I was signing up for 8 days of filming on the first film, and then it just gradually kept getting extended. And here we are, 9 or 10 years later. God, has it been that long, Stuart? My God. But it's been a minute.
Actually, yeah, it's been 9 years since the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
That's bananas to me.
Yeah.
But she's open to it. She's open to it. She's had a great career. Remember her personally from Doctor Who as Amy Pond, working alongside somebody like a Matt Smith. She was just also in the was it the Jumanji movies, also, if I'm not mistaken, that really made a name for her. And now as Nebula. And look, based off of her relationship with James Gunn, look, James Gunn is no he's not shy in letting us know, like, hey, if my Guardians of the Galaxy family want to come over to the DCU, I might have something in store for them. And this certainly might be one of those cases here, Stuart. How do you like Karen Gillan as an actress Do you think that she could pull off a Poison Ivy role, especially when you consider her opposite of somebody like Margot Robbie? Do you think that's a chemistry, a connection that might look good on screen?
I haven't seen Karen Gillan in anything I didn't like her in. I think she's awesome. And yeah, I don't think we've ever seen her and Margot Robbie work side by side, but it is definitely something I could see working very well. And yeah, I think because I think the pieces are all there. For a really solid Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy type of movie, especially with Karen Gillan as Poison Ivy. So I really hope this ends up happening. And even if she doesn't end up playing Poison Ivy, I do think she would be a perfect fit for the DC universe going forward. So even if it's as a different character, I would really love to see her cross over into that universe. You're muted.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself again. I was like,
Oh.
damn it, Adam, I did it again. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I really do like Karen Gillan. I think she's got some pretty good range. I think she even has some pretty good comedic humor. I think seeing her as Nebula kind of um, definitely pulls that off from time to time. But I think also Nebula shows just the range that she has. Outside of the movies that I announced and series that I announced Karen Gillan in, I don't know what else I've really seen her in. But I do think her opposite of Margot Robbie could certainly work. I think because she has such a great range, I think she can kind of fit anything that James Gunn certainly has for her content wise. So I do hope that this is something that we get the opportunity to see. I think she's pretty good at what she certainly does. And I can't remember if we've had any other actresses that have thrown their names in the hat for possibly playing Poison Ivy. But I can like I love this mock-up that they put together of her. Because I could definitely see her playing like the that Poison Ivy character for sure. But yeah, I think there's definitely potential here. But I don't know if Karen Gillan would be my first choice. But I am kind of curious if there have been other actresses recently that have come out and talked about wanting to play Poison Ivy. But I do think they would be a good pickup for James Gunn. And again, I think anytime that you're familiar with working with somebody, I think that's certainly a leg up compared to the rest of the competition. You know what I mean?
Mhm. If you're looking for another Karen Gillan movie to add to your list, I definitely recommend Oculus. It's a really interesting horror movie about a killer mirror,
A Mirror,
but it's
yes,
not
that's what
bad.
yes, I have seen that one. Yes,
Oh,
that's another
cool!
one I have seen her in. Yes, I have seen that. It scared the hell out of me in theaters when I saw it.
It
It was
was a
definitely
freaking
trippy.
creepy movie.
Yeah, it was fucking creepy. It was pretty creepy. So yeah, I look, I would love to see her in the role. We'll see how it goes though. But I think her and Margot Robbie can certainly have a lot of fun. And because I do think Karen has certainly shown her acting chops.
Mhm.
I like her comedic chops, but I do think she also has like that deadpan vibe too if she needs, right? Like if Harley Quinn is so like rambunctious and just so out there, like somebody to play the person that kind of keep her grounded or the opposite of her. I think Karen could bring a really fun sort of sarcastic vibe maybe to the role, but still loving at the same time.
Agreed. I think she has enough range to where she can have a sense of humor with Harley Quinn when she needs to, but also, yeah, like you mentioned, kind of be the one to ground her when she needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. But let us know your thoughts, guys. If there's any other actresses out there that you would like to see potentially play Poison Ivy, we would love to know some of your suggestions. I feel like we might. I don't want to say we've done this story before, but I feel like I have read an article or two where other people have come out and says, I wouldn't mind playing Poison Ivy one day because look, I feel Margot Robbie has been pushing for that chemistry and that relationship on screen at some point in time. So I definitely do think it is happening. It's just a matter of when and who. But if you guys have any other suggestions outside of Karen Gillan, or maybe you're pleased with her and would love to see her in that role, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And last but not least, Stuart, the main event. We've got more DC television talk for you guys. As Stuart, if I can be honest with you, when it comes to the Flash season 9, I
Mhm.
fell off again, man. I was locked in the beginning of the season. I was like, let's do this, baby. And then I got sidetracked. I was like squirrel. And I just went off on my own tangent and just forgot to follow up with the series. But fortunately for us Arrowverse fans out there, Stephen Amell returned this past week to the Flash. If you guys missed Indy's review, Indy did go ahead and drop his review over on our YouTube page for you to certainly go ahead and check out his thoughts. He actually reviewed episodes 8 and 9 together for you guys. So check out his thoughts on the return of Stephen Amell. But Stephen Amell is back in the news, Stuart, because he has opened his mouth and he has said, "You may not have seen the last of me." Once again, as Oliver Queen. And I'm just thinking to myself, what are you talking about, Stephen? The question I have for you, Stuart, before we even get into this article, since I'm sure you probably watched the Flash episode with Arrow in it, what are your overall thoughts of that episode in general?
Oh man, I thought it was fantastic. So fantastic that it actually pissed me off. And here's why. Um Looking at the Flash season 9, it's really hard to say, from episodes 1 through 8 whether or not the writers just are fatigued with the show and just don't want to do this anymore, or if they're just naturally untalented. This episode answered that for me. Clearly, these writers are still talented. They know what they're doing, which just kind of shows that, like, they don't care. They are fatigued with the show and they don't want to keep writing because clearly, when it comes to big events like bringing back Green Arrow, there's actually effort put into the writing. But yeah, I thought this was a really fantastic episode. The way they brought him back, but gave us kind of a good excuse as to why he wasn't like the overpowered Spectre. I thought, very comic booky, but I bought it for the episode. I thought a lot of the moments we got with him and Barry and then him and Diggle were excellent. I love the way the writers got to explore Wally West even more. I was shocked at how much they were able to fit into this one episode and not have it feel crammed at all. The nitpick I could totally give this is that, yes, I know the actor probably wasn't available, but it did seem kind of weird for everyone to be showing up for Barry's birthday except for Joe West. That kind of felt a little bit bizarre, but that's a nitpick. Totally get it. The actor probably wasn't there for the production of this episode, so understandable. Other than that, awesome episode. Had an amazing time, and just I I'll tune in for the next episode of The Flash next week, but if it doesn't grip me the same way this did, I probably won't even finish this season because, like you, I also fell off. I watched the first 5 episodes and was so underwhelmed by the Red Death arc from every angle of it. I thought was very underwhelming. I definitely feel bad for Batwoman fans who are really looking forward to kind of seeing Ryan Wilder coming back and fighting alongside with the Flash. They're the ones who are going to be really disappointed with the first 5 episodes. Let me just say that. And yeah, I couldn't even finish episode 6 because it was so boring. So I just straight up skipped episode 7 and 8.
I can't remember what episode was the last one I watched. They had Barry captured. Homeboy was like chained up to something while they were still going around trying to get all the like pieces that they need. I think Homeboy was creating a new treadmill or something like that. And Red Death had actually come face to face with the Flash and had him sort of chained up. That might have been like the last episode I watched. What was that? Like episode 3, episode 4? I don't remember. And then I eventually fell off. But I do want to go back and watch this episode. I have not had the opportunity to watch the Stephen Amell episode yet, but that might be the one that I do go back and watch. How many episodes is this season? Like 13?
Yep.
Okay, so they're more than halfway, certainly there to say the least. So we'll see how this season wraps up. But now that Arrow is back, Stephen Amell has in fact returned. And this past week, talking about his return, he talked to TVLine.com. And Stephen Amell says, look, guys, doesn't think he's done playing Green Arrow. He doesn't think he's done playing Green Arrow. Homeboy feels like he's got more in his quiver, I believe is what they state here in this article. It says, yeah, Stephen Amell firmly believes he still has some arrows left in his quiver. This week on the CW's Flash, Amell, of course, reprised his role as Oliver Queen more than 3 years after the Arrow versus Flagship series wrapped its 8th season, 170 episode run. He says, Going back and doing that was really, really exciting. But also, by the end of the second night, filming those fight scenes, I was like, okay, that's enough. Is what he told him, laughing. He says, yet when TV Line asked Amell if he now feels as if he has truly suited up for the very last time as the Emerald Archer, he was quick to say, I don't think so. He says, any next round of Green Arrow, though, would have to have a more finite timetable. Listen to this. This is what Stephen Amell says. He says, we had a good run on the CW verse he says, we had a good run on the CW in the Arrowverse, but the idea of 22 or 23 episodes a year, that's a very specific way to make television with act breaks and all those things. I had my fill of playing Arrow in that particular medium, but the idea of going back and doing something on a limited basis or doing a movie is an absolutely of interest to Amell, is what he wind up saying. So yeah, there is a potential that he comes back. He says, reflecting on the fight sequences shown in the new flashbacks in Arrow's final hour, and maybe exaggerating a smidgen, Amell says, we had scenes in our final series where I must have killed like 100 people, but we were never allowed to show any blood. A lot of this hand-to-hand stuff can pack so much more of a punch if we had a little more freedom in terms of what we can do or what we can show, as would be the case with any streaming service series or a DC movie, for example. So Stephen Amell is making it very much known, Stuart, here that I hope you haven't seen the last of me. I don't think you've seen the last of me. The big question for me, Stuart, is does Stephen Amell know something that we don't? Or is he just putting out positive vibes into the universe in an attempt that this will eventually happen? And I think that's what it is. First off, I just want to say there is something humorous to me, just funny about the full circle that Stephen Amell has come. From when he first left the show and he's like, I'm done, man. Like the way he came across was very much like, look, I appreciated everything that they've provided for me, but I can't do this anymore. I'm out. Right. He felt very much like very dismissive of the idea of ever returning, ever putting on the cape, the bow and quiver ever again. Is like, look, I'm just gonna do my own thing, my own career, go on the bigger and better things. I've had a great run. Thank you, everybody, but I'm done. And then we wind up getting inklings of like, ideas that Stephen Amell might want to return. If you guys remember during the pandemic, I think maybe he was filming Heels at the time, talking about the idea like, well, if CW wants me back, I guess, I might be open to the idea. And then he became much more open about like, yeah, you know what? I'd get in the suit again. Why not? I'd get in the suit again. And one of the things that I had always said, Stuart, was never say never, right? You never want to burn bridges. You did a great job for 8 seasons as Arrow. People know you as Arrow. That is like what got you to where you certainly are in your career right now. You really shouldn't shit on the people that fed you or like the careers and the opportunities that got you where you certainly are at. So never say never that you'd never return to something ever again. And so since then, we've had like 2 appearances of him. Maybe this is his first appearance back. I can't quite remember now. But the fact that he wants to come back again is pretty fascinating to me. I think he misses the character. I think there also might be a thing of like, hey, maybe he doesn't have a job lined up right now. And so he needs more on his plate to certainly do. But I think this is a good move by him. I personally would love to see him come back, whether that be movie wise or in an HBO Max type of series. How would you pull that off? Look, I'll leave that up to the showrunners and writers to certainly create that. But I don't think he's off basis or off kilter in the sense of, I'm kind of done with the 20 to 23 episodes. Like, not many series are doing that anymore, right? I think Black Lightning almost kind of made it normal to do a 15 episode season and get away from like the 20 plus episodes. And now that we're in the world of streaming services, I mean, damn, we get series that are like 10 episodes, 8 episodes, 5 if you're lucky. They just keep lowering and lowering the number. So I do think if you were to give Stephen Amell something juicy like that, um, as he gets older, something that helps him take care of his body a little bit better and not go through the ringer as much each and every year, I think that sounds like a magnificent idea if they want to reboot Green Arrow in a certain way. I don't know if it would continue to be linked towards the Arrowverse, but I think when you think of Oliver Queen, it tends to be synonymous with Stephen Amell. Now, do I think that there are other actors out there that could play Oliver Queen and do a really good job at it? Absolutely. I do think that we've got some really great actors out there that would sink their teeth into the Green Arrow character in the bigger form of DCU and certainly knock it out of the park. But I do think it's fair that Stephen Amell gets an opportunity or a shot to prove himself. I think we've seen him in uh, bigger budget movies, such as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 when he played Casey Jones. So I do think that he can kind of take it from television to movies if he needs to, but I still stand by the idea that movies are significantly different from television. And while, I have mentioned this before, while I wouldn't mind seeing somebody like a Grant Gustin play the Flash for television or for the movie, I do think that you have actors out there that can really portray that character much better in movies than maybe a Grant Gustin certainly can. And I kind of feel that same way with Stephen Amell. But if James Gunn said, "Look, I'm making a Green Arrow movie. I'm casting Stephen Amell because people know him as Oliver and he's done a fantastic job." I would have absolutely no problem with it whatsoever. So I hope he gets the opportunity to certainly explore this character further. I'm not going to say that this is concrete 100% certainly going to happen, but I do think people at DC studios should at least take notice of what Stephen Amell is saying and at least bring him in for an audition if that's the case for a big budget movie. But again, if you want to keep it more streaming service wise, I would love that too, because I think something like an 8-episode season for an Arrow season would be right up his alley. Yeah, I love them as a character. So bring it on, Stuart. Bring it on. I would not mind this, but what are your thoughts in regards to hearing this? How would you like to see him in movie or television? And what's the possibility you think of it actually happening?
Um, So I think you and I are probably on the same page in that, like, I'm not opposed to him coming back as Arrow, even if it's like a different version of the character. And yeah, I think if I had to choose between a show or a movie, definitely a movie because as cool as it was seeing him on the small screen, it's like if we're bringing him back and we're doing something new with him, I think they should go all out and do something completely new. Give us a badass R-rated Green Arrow movie on the big screen. That's what I would love to see. Or even if he's not playing Arrow, like if he wants to come back as the Spectre, like continue his role as like kind of the guardian of the multiverse, kind of. I also think there's plenty of room for that in the future of the DC universe. I mean, depending on how much connective tissue James Gunn wants to keep between the DC universe and then the Arrowverse, that I guess that's definitely a major wait and see. But yeah, I think that Stephen Amell is a great actor. He did a great job on Arrow, and then the fact that he left the show on very good terms because it was just 8 seasons. I think I'm finally ready to retire the character. I think that's perfect, honestly. I think he left the show right as like the writing would have probably started to go back downhill again. So I think he left the show at a really good time. And yeah, I like that he's still willing to come back and play the character, as long as he's not, carrying the entire show with 22 episode seasons. Yeah, overall, like, yeah, I'm open to it, but I'm also not going to be disappointed if we don't get any more in the future.
Yeah, I definitely do think this is Stephen Amell just putting it out there, like, "Hey guys, I'm available." Like
Yeah.
if you guys ever decide to do anything other Green Arrow related, um, sign me up. And look, I'd be okay if he went back to a television series and they still did a movie and hired somebody else. I'm perfectly okay with that if James Gunn and them really want to separate the two. Um, I also, I haven't seen him in the Heels series, but Indy says he's pretty good in that show also. I did see him in Code 8 with his brother. I thought he actually did a pretty good job in the Code 8. Was that a Netflix movie, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I think that was a Netflix movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him in that also. I never saw the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one with him as Casey Jones. How did you like him as Casey?
On paper, I thought he would have been a perfect Casey Jones, but they did not write this character like Casey Jones, so it
Mm,
just he wasn't right for that version of Casey
that
Jones
role.
that they were going for.
I get you. I get you. Let's see what you guys are saying. Marcelino says it took us 9 episodes, but we finally got a good one in the final season. Talking about the Flash. Maybe Stephen Amell will return as the Flash movie in the Flash movie as a cameo. That's probably I don't know. I like it. I will say this, Stuart. Cameos for the Flash movie. I would bet Grant Gustin more than Stephen Amell. Um, I am still kind of curious if they have that, if they even have that connective tissue to the Flash movie, to the Flash television series in the movie. You know, I was always under the impression when we got that scene from Crisis that that scene was gonna be in the movie itself, just because of the weird like letterboxing that they had for it, like the widescreen look
Mhm.
for that specific scene. So it's like I wonder if they just are filming it that way so they can easily plant it to the big screen if they need to at some point in time. So there's a part of me that's still keeping my fingers crossed that the Grant Gustin um, crossover might happen, but I don't expect Stephen Amell to be in the movie. Do you at all?
No. I
No.
feel like if they put Stephen Amell in there, they would have to do it as him as the Spectre, and I feel like that would take way too much explaining, and it would kind of take the audience out of the movie if they did that.
Yeah, I mean, unless you went the route of like Barry going through the Speed Force again, kind of similar to what he did in Crisis, and you get the glimpses of things, you know, the different Earths and multiverses going past them. Maybe there's a shot of Grant and Steven together in one of those quick images that passes by you. Maybe you can pull something off like that. But as
Mhm.
far as a focal point of or like a good shot of him, like a minute or two, no, I don't think so. But no, we've been wrong before.
Yeah.
Um
If anything, I'm not sure if you watched the most recent episodes of Titans yet, but if anything, I kind of see their cameos looking more like the cameo they had in the Titans episode. I believe it was episode 9 when
of the season.
Garfield's like traveling in the multiverse, where it's like all mostly stock footage.
Yeah, yeah, I did. So I haven't watched the episodes as of yet. I'm probably going to do a part 2 review of that series though once I sit down and watch it. But I did, you know, there were already inklings of what Garfield and Stargirl um, crossover rumors and things like that before. And I wasn't sure what to make of it. It just felt odd to me. But based off of Gar's storyline and where he's at right now, it kind of lines up. Marceline also says Troy Oboyo 17 suggested this for a Green Arrow movie. John Boyega is Green Arrow with Ryan Johnson as director. What do you think? I mean, look, I like both of those. I just don't know I don't know what they're going for. You know, and I think that's always key, right? Stuart is like we can fan pick all day as to who we would like to see play a character, but you know, maybe the writer um has different traits about the character or has a different storyline for the character that maybe the people that we're fan casting, you know, maybe just wouldn't be, I don't want to say wouldn't be able to do, but maybe just doesn't fit that category of, you know, them being a good Green Arrow. So look, I love John Boyega as an actor. I think he could probably kill any role that he wants to. But I would probably have to see the script first or the synopsis and kind of get an idea of like what they're actually going for. But I do like the combination of the two. Give it to me. But yeah, I'd have to see more of it because I'm sure there might be other people out there I think could probably play Green Arrow maybe a little bit better. But what do you think though?
It's an interesting combo, but
Combo.
I think my fan cast for John Boyega would be Mr. Terrific.
Ooh, yes. I fucking love that idea. Yeah, Mr. Terrific has been I'm glad you brought that up because Mr. Terrific has been teased relatively a lot by James Gunn. a few months back, I think in November, he literally posted a photo of Mr. Terrific. And then sometime like a month or two ago, he actually posted a photo of the Terrifics, like the group led by Mr. Terrific. I think was like Metamorpho was in there, Plastic Man, I think, was part of the group also, and somebody else. So that was the second Mr. Terrific reference that he's dropped for us. But this past week, James Gunn also mentioned the idea of Static Shock being in the DCU. Somebody had asked him if he plans on doing a Static Shock movie or any other Milestone Comics characters. And he just came out and said yes. So it's like, okay. So we definitely have
Awesome.
some other movies to look forward to. But I love the idea of John Boyega as Mr. Terrific. That'd be pretty legit. I would be open for that. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. If Stephen Amell were to return, how would you like to see him return? In a movie, a limited series, maybe as a Max series over on HBO Max right now? Do you think it's something you think that Stephen Amell knows more than he's certainly letting on? Or is this him just certainly being hopeful? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below.
I think it's just the worst way to like not get a role is to find out it's because someone thought you weren't interested. So I think it's him just trying to make sure that if he doesn't ever play Green Arrow again, that's not the reason. I think he wants to make sure that James Gunn knows that he is still interested if James Gunn was ever considering him. Because yeah, that would I can only imagine how shitty that would feel. You find out later, oh yeah, James Gunn was considering you, but he thought that you just didn't want it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be pretty terrible. So yeah, it's a good thing that he put himself out there for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
He's like, yeah, nobody called me. Like, fuck, I'm sorry, buddy. That sucks. But guys, that will wrap up all of our main topics for today. So thank you very much, guys, for certainly coming through with your with all these topics today. Thank you for sitting through them. And thank you for all the super chats today. Really does certainly go a long way. But guys and Stuart, I think you know what time it is, man.
Yes, it is time, everyone, for live viewer questions.
And we're going to be getting into your guys' live viewer questions. And look, if you've always wanted to know, how do I submit a live viewer question? Well, I'm glad you asked. Usually every Wednesday or Thursday or any day after that, we will be putting a post up on our YouTube page for you guys to go ahead and drop your questions. All you have to certainly do is usually, again, after Wednesday or Thursday, just go over to our YouTube page here. As you can see, A Plus Hero Report. Scroll over to the community tab right there. And again, you will find a live viewer question post like so. So, Stuart, hey, look, we got 6 questions today. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Hopefully, we won't have to do any additional videos here this week. So let's go down to newest. All right. Jessica Friedman, you're up first. If Cosmic Fury is successful, could we see another 10 episodes? And do you think the Arrowverse will continue to live on once the Flash ends? In some capacity, at least maybe through Stargirl if we get another season. Well, that's not the same. It's definitely not the same Earth because we've seen our Jay Garrick. Is that our Jay Garrick though that appeared in the Stargirl show or no?
See, here's the thing: both Jeff Johns and Eric Wallace have said yes. However, we also had for 2 years straight everyone saying that Superman and Lois was part of the Arrowverse, only for them to like change their mind about it. So for now, yes, but that could easily change if they change their mind later.
Gotcha. So I feel like that's probably the only Arrowverse show still right now. Outside of that, Superman and Lois. I don't even consider that Arrowverse anymore, unfortunately. And I don't really consider Gotham Knights Arrowverse either. So yeah, I think maybe our only link right now is definitely Stargirl.
I think though, with how popular the Arrowverse is, and with James Gunn kind of being aware of its popularity, I think that in the future of the DC universe, if we ever cross back into the multiverse, I do see the Arrowverse playing a small part in that, especially because the multiverse was an overall huge part of the Arrowverse.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when I think of just the multiverse in general, it's hard to ignore the Arrowverse. I felt like they just did the multiverse so much better, I think, than the over the years than what we've been seeing lately. Um, so yeah, they did an amazing job of what they built up over all those years. I think should get more recognition for the incredible hard work and like just the status quo of television making, because I think the Arrowverse was just pretty something incredible. Like if you look at what Marvel Cinematic Universe did for theaters, I compare that to the Arrowverse, but for television. I think they did
Exactly.
some monumental things there. If Cosmic Fury is successful, could we see another 10 episodes? I think so. I think so. Well, oh, you said Cosmic Fury. I don't know why I was thinking Once and Always. God, that's a good question, Jessica. I I don't think it would be a continuation of Cosmic Fury. Um, and there's a part of me, Stuart, that's a little hesitant to say it would be a 31st season also. I'm just not under that impression. Um, I know Jin Saku did recently come out and mention the idea that there was a second show in development as of right now, mentioning the idea that he believes it could possibly be a 31st season, but that's just speculation on his part. Let me see if I can clarify it. There's another show in the works, not a special, and maybe season 31. I don't know yet. But I'm not going to go so far. I don't know if it's a 31st season, but I do think we could get a 10 episode season of either what Jonathan Entwistle is creating, kids programming from Jonathan Entwistle's side, or if we stick in this universe, maybe another MMPR special. But I guess technically, would that be a 31st season? I don't know. But I do think there's a possibility for more either MMPR specials or another MMPR ish type of season. But maybe that is 31st season, Stuart. How do you look at that though? Do you think they can do a Cosmic Fury sequel, or what do you think in regards to another 10 episodes?
I think Cosmic Fury will be done after these 10 episodes, but I think we could see the Rangers, the same Rangers returning if they continue on with a 31st season of the series. You're muted.
So yeah, we'll definitely see there. We'll definitely see there. Sorry, I'm like trying to maneuver all around the screen right now. Ram Jam, you're up next. Have you got a chance to see the latest trailer of The Flash? And if so, what did you think of the trailer? I think it was bombastic, man. I think visually it was really incredible just to kind of see the levels of special effects that we have in here, the scope that this movie is going to encompass. I even love towards the end of the trailer, the logo, how it flips through like everybody's freaking symbol. Like you've got Michael Keaton Batman symbol in there, and then it morphs to like Superman, and then it morphs to Ben Affleck's Batman symbol, and then it morphs to the Flash lightning bolt type of thing. I thought it was actually pretty cool. So I'm really interested to kind of see how they juggle all these characters. How did the writing team handle such a big ensemble? Does everybody get time to really flesh out their characters in a very meaningful sort of way? And again, just based off of first reactions alone, and even though that I'm usually not a big fan of first reactions, I think when it comes to a movie like The Flash, for me at least, it's certainly worth paying attention to. And I saw a lot of positivity out of it, so I am hoping that they found a great balance between the epic scale, but then also the emotional kind of moments that's certainly needed for these characters in this movie. But yeah, that's just some of the things I personally enjoyed about the trailer. Um, With the success of the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger special once and always, where do you see the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger team going from here? What do you think, Stuart?
I see them. I see Min kind of leading a new group of MMPR Rangers with Billy and Zach kind of sticking around mostly as mentors, though not necessarily as Rangers. And that's if they decide to continue the series after the events of Once and Always. But yeah, I think there's like definitely a lot of potential.
Yeah, I definitely do think there's potential there too. Um, like I'm kind of curious. I haven't read up too much about Quantum Continuum when it comes to David Yost. I know he's released like scripts for like the first two episodes, but there is a question I have of, is that a possibility that any of that maybe gets adapted? Maybe they take concepts of that. Maybe they get a new writer to come on board and reshape what David Yost wind up creating if they wanted like another additional storyline for them to focus on. But I don't know if it was too in line with what Once and Always has done. Again, I haven't had the opportunity to read the scripts myself yet, but I do think there's plenty more out there. I do think you can make other specials if you wanted to with this cast. Maybe now that the first one has been a success, again, I don't know if Amy Jo Johnson would ever come back on board or if she's pretty adamant of like, look, I'm 50 years old. You ain't about to put me in no spandex, even though I think she still looks great. Whether or not she wants to be in that role, who knows? But Austin St. John, I don't think if he can get out of any legal woes that he's in, I think that would be cool to finally be able to bring him in, even though he wasn't in this one. And I would agree with you too in regards to Min. For me, it feels odd just because to have her go off and form her own team just because she just became a ranger. She became a member of MMPR's team. What does that mean for her power set? Does she go on and become a different color ranger for another team? Does Sabretooth literally just leave the MMPR team and join another team? I really don't know how they would pull it off, but I do think there's plenty of adventure. I certainly would like to see Charlie Kirsch's Min certainly go on, whether that be Walter and Billy joining her wherever she goes off to, whatever the case may be. But I do think there's plenty of potential for them to continue to build off of the success of Once and Always. And so I hope that they do that. I think, if anything, there might be a quarterly call here relatively soon. Maybe we'll get some insight on the success of Once and Always along with the future. So we'll see.
Ooh, I
My
just thought
God,
of something.
AJ.
I just thought of
Oh, what
something
you think?
too. With Dino Fury being a dinosaur themed season as well. Maybe the Cosmic Fury Rangers come back to Earth, and Min just joins their team. With her own costume, so it kind of becomes like a mix and mash with Dino Fury and Mighty Morphin.
That's definitely a possibility. Aubrey says JJ Oliver, bring JJ into the fold. That would be pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing Min do a little bit of recruiting and get JJ. So that'd be pretty awesome, I personally think.
Simon Bennett was very smart about this because someone asked about JJ's age on Twitter, and Simon Bennett kind of just straight up said, "Yeah, we didn't really decide." And I think it's smart because then it doesn't like, if you said like, "Oh, he's 4 years old in the events of this special," then you kind of screw over any other chance there is of him maybe being like an actual Power Ranger the next season.
That's a good
So
point. Yeah, definitely leaving it open for anybody else in the future that tackles it.
yeah.
Um, all right, AJ with his long ass. Like, is there a question in here, AJ? Um, do you guys remember the SPD Dino Thunder team up wormhole, which was part 2 of the history episode? Yes, I do. Thank you, AJ. Next question. Marcelino. No, I'm just kidding. Um, in my opinion, I still consider it as the last great traditional team up we had in Power Rangers before Neo Saban ended and started giving us awful anniversary crossovers. What I love about SPD's team up was that because the series itself took place in 2025, the Rangers had to time travel back to 2004 to stop the Trubian Empire from changing the future, whereas history took place in 2005, where the Dino Rangers were transported to the future. While the only flaws that part 2 specifically had was a lack of JDF in the episode, but we did at least hear his voice through a mix of old audio footage and a decent voiceover by Trent's actors. However, in the entire time we saw Tommy in his suit without demorphing, kind of since caused the team up took place at, I don't even know what that says. However, the entire time we saw Tommy in his suit without demorphing kind of made sense, maybe because the team up took place after Trent joined the Power Rangers, before Tommy went through the dangerous experiment of changing himself back to normal. Although Connor already had his battleizer in this episode, so this could have also been after he got it, and Tommy could have just been busy in his lab. Um, yeah, he's just giving his whole summary. All right, I appreciate it. AJ, thanks, brother.
Yeah, it's a fun two crossovers. I find it really funny. It's the only season I think that does this where it's two separate crossovers with the same team instead of one two-parter. I always prefer the two-parters, but I think the way they handled it in SPD worked pretty well.
He says the only real issues or goofs that the episode had is that SPD team went to 2004 instead of 2005, which history took place. I mean, the Dino team they had already met, minus Trent, weren't the ones that they last encountered. He goes on to say, to wrap up, SPD did an awesome job with this team up, despite minor flaws that had to do with time travel, which you really have to think hard and check Ranger Wiki to actually realize the shortcomings. But as an actual team up itself, it was really well done as the last great team up of the franchise. Marcelino, other than Shattered Grid, what were your favorite Boom Studio storylines? Which means your options consist of Beyond the Grid, Nope, Necessary Evil, not bad. The Unlimited Power, Eltarian War, Charged to 100, or any graphic novel such as Soul of the Dragon, The Psychopath, Aftershock, Sins of the Future, and any of the mini series such as Universe, Draken New Dawn, or any of the one-shots such as Ranger Slayer, Heir to the Darkness, Edge of Darkness, Countdown to Ruin, or The Death Ranger. Give me Ranger Slayer and Necessary Evil out of that. What about you? Do you have any other favorite Boom Studio storylines? I never finished the Unlimited War and the Eltarian War.
I gotta double check which one Necessary Evil was.
Draken New Dawn, I will say I wasn't a fan of the artwork, but I did love the twist of Jason being sort of like the man in the iron mask, or like the captured ranger that was being like drawn of his powers to create the other centuries and stuff. I thought that was a pretty cool concept, and get an opportunity that kind of goes in line with like the Ranger Slayer one shot of seeing Kimberly Hart. I'm a really big fan of the Ranger Slayer character, and seeing her take over sort of like in that coinless universe, along with teaming up with Scorpina. So yeah, definitely give me Ranger Slayer. Some concepts of the New Dawn were my favorite. And then Necessary Evil was a good one for me too.
I did really like the graphic novels for Soul of the Dragon and Sins of the Future. And then I also really liked Necessary Evil. I didn't think Beyond the Grid was as bad as everyone says. I'm just going to say that. I actually enjoyed it just fine. But yeah, I don't know which one I would say. I think if I had to choose a favorite, probably Soul of the Dragon.
Gotcha. I do have it. I don't know if I finished reading it though, but I do have it.
It's pretty sick, like Blade Runner with Tommy Oliver.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I might have to check. I might have to go do a reread then. Shout out to Ram Jam for coming through today. Who else we got? Blossom. Do you get tired of when I ask about the ideas I have for our adaptation? I ask on account of you knowing Power Rangers more than I do. Got into the series pretty late at age 16. I mean, look, I didn't get into it much sooner than you. Maybe like 13, 12. I can't remember when the first episode aired. What was that? 2009? Excuse me, 1993?
1993, yeah.
So I would have been... Damn, I would have been 10. Wow, really? Yeah, damn, Adam. Yeah, like 10 or 11. So yeah. No, I don't get tired of your adaptions. If anything, I kind of want to read them to kind of see how you're adapting some of this stuff into your adaptions. Did you guys see King Osier yet? If you didn't, you should. Their Zords and Kingdoms rock hard. I mean, the design work, holy macaroni times 10. Have you watched King Osier, Stuart?
Not yet, but I do want to, because I freaking love the costume designs in it.
Yeah, the costume designs I think are like one of some of the best Super Sentai suits that I've ever seen. I'm a really big fan of the suit design. I have not watched the series as of yet. I personally want to finish Don Brothers before I do because I was a really big fan of that show. I'm probably about halfway through Don Brothers, but King Oger is definitely up next for me. So no, I haven't had the opportunity to check it out, but I want to. If there, I'm gonna be honest, Stuart. I'm gonna be honest, man.
Hmm.
And this is just as an observer looking in without actually having any context to the season or watching the show itself, I feel like this is more Common Rider than a Super Sentai show.
Exactly. That's exactly the vibe I got from it because a lot of the costume designs give me Common Rider's
Common Rider
saber
vibe.
vibes, you know?
Yes, yes. Even the high usage of the CGI backgrounds and the green screen and stuff. Like I remember specifically seeing that. It feels like for the first time in Common Rider Saber, and then maybe utilized in things like Zoo um, and other shows. Very heavy, like green screen stage designs. Um, so I'm getting Common Rider vibes like 100%, and I'm just thinking I don't I don't know how I feel about that. Um, but I have to see the show to see like does it stick to its Super Sentai roots or is it really deciding, hey, we're gonna go full on Common Rider in regards to how we tell our stories. And it makes me wonder if Common Rider has turned into Super Sentai. Like I wonder if they've switched or not, but I just get Common Rider vibes and I'm just not sure how I feel about it. But visually, it looks pretty remarkable. Like, man, maybe this is a combination that I really needed this whole time and didn't know. Um, so I'm gonna check it out. But this is again, this is just from a viewer perspective, from the trailers, the photos, what I have had glimpses of, and not actually having watched the series itself. So I don't know if that's a detriment to the series or a benefit, but people are really enjoying it. It seems like.
Hmm.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that felt that way though.
Yeah, the vibe I get from it is the same vibe I've been getting since the Zenkaiger season, which is it feels like they're final like Japan is finally just like, hey, we don't have to dumb this down for Power Rangers anymore. We can
Hmm.
now just go all out, do
All
our
out.
own thing, and not have to worry about making sure it can be adapted into an American project.
Totally agree. Yeah, it definitely feels like that. Like they know, hey, look, they're not going to be utilizing our Sentai footage anymore, so we can go balls to the walls as much as we want to, and maybe hopefully allowing them to inject some whatever life into this their Super Sentai series that they might need that maybe was kind of missing. So, yeah, man, I think it'll be a benefit to everybody at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, and last but not least, Power Rangers Legacy. While it does still suck that the finale of Dino Supercharged caused the dinosaurs to not be extinct, this did allow MMPR and Dino Thunder as a series to stay intact. Also allowed the series itself to open up a multiverse just like RPM. You could also blame Super Sentai for doing a third Dino season at the time. Anyways, when it came to Dino Charge as a whole, it was really good. All the main five characters got focused. It still confuses me to why the Rangers need Energem, but they use Dino Charges to morph, which this issue repeats itself in Beast Morphers when four of the Rangers get their Energems taken by Snide and get replacement chargers filled with Morph X. Unless the Energems themselves are the power source, similar to the Zeo crystals, what I find unique about the Energems are that once they chose you, you can't separate them from your DNA, similar to Dino Gems and Dino Thunder. Only Keeper has the power to separate you from the powers, as we saw with Albert, who was the purple Dino Charge Ranger before giving it to Kendall. I like Dino Charge. I did fall off Dino Supercharge, but I did like Dino Charge. It felt like a breath of fresh air. I was a really big fan of all the characters in there too. It just kind of lost me in the second half of the season when it's just trying to introduce so many of these characters and none of them were very impactful enough for me. But it was cool to see like, oh, hey, we got a new Ranger at least. So
Mhm.
I unfortunately kind of fell off of Dino Supercharge. But what do you think in regards to what Power Rangers Legacy is saying here?
Oh yeah, fully agree. I thought it was amazing how they had so many characters and they were still able to, give them a lot of screen time, but still keep the focus on the main five. And yeah, the way the Dino Chargers kind of work, I can kind of see what he means, where it's a little bit confusing on exactly what it is that causes them to morph, what exactly is their direct connection to the morphing grid. I could see that being kind of confusing the way it's written, but I had no issues with that. And yeah, even with it being kind of separated, I gotta say, this is something I don't think you'd be able to do with a live action show. If anything, you'd need a comic book to like cover something like this. But I would love to see that world continue, like what a modern world would look like if it had dinosaurs in it. That does
That
seem
would be
like kind of a fascinating world that I would love to see them kind of explore later on. But yeah, I do agree with you. Dino Supercharge is when it kind of went downhill. And I think honestly, what it came down to was that they just kind of, they had to write 44 episodes, which to me is a lot when it comes to a
wow.
full season. I think if they were to have cut it back to like, 30 episodes, it would have been a lot better personally.
No, I totally agree with you there. I definitely do. And again, that's not taking anything away from Dino Charge as a whole, because I definitely do agree with you. Power Ranger Legacy. It is an enjoyable season for me. Despite the hiccups of Supercharge, I don't think it overall takes away or ruins the series as a whole. I think if anything, it's probably the brightest star in that Neo Saban of what we got. Well, it's up to you. I mean, if you add Beast Morphers to the Neo Saban stuff also, but definitely one of the more successful ones. So I'm like, for me, I still really appreciate Tyler as a Red Ranger. Like, I still think
Mhm.
he's really great, Brennan. And so I love what they've been able to add in to the franchise.
And yet he was Saban's least favorite of the Neo Saban Red Rangers.
Yeah, because I'm sure he loved him some Troy. I'm sure he did.
Exactly. Yeah. No, he's like, yeah, no, a Red Ranger shouldn't have personality or anything like that.
Fucking stupid. So
So,
stupid.
which
So
which
dumb. Yeah.
makes sense because like when you look at how they had Tyler, a Red Ranger with a lot of personality, they went back, in Ninja Steel, and it feels like they kind of, took a major step backwards with their Red Ranger because once again, I think Brody was way too similar to Troy and Jaden.
Mm. Yeah. No, I totally get you there. Also, yeah. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for our live viewer questions today, guys. So thank you everybody for certainly coming through and dropping off your questions. I look back to back weeks, Stuart. 11 questions, 6 questions. People running out of questions, man, or maybe they're running out of Power Ranger questions to ask. You guys can ask any questions you see that you want.
Mhm.
Questions for us, movie related questions, television show, rumors, topics, or articles that you read throughout the week. You can ask us anything you guys certainly want. We'll be more than happy to certainly answer it for you, but always appreciative when you guys drop your live viewer questions. We'll definitely get to them next week also.
In fact, we love
Um,
rumors because then we can clearly label it as rumors so it doesn't come off as us giving like false information or anything like that.
yeah, we definitely try and do our best to let you know what's speculation, what's rumors, what's concrete sort of thing. So hopefully we do our best in keeping you guys up to date with the correct information.
Yeah.
Um, I think other than that, Stuart, I think that's probably going to wrap it up for us here today, man. Unless there's any other information that wind up dropping this week. But look, if people want to find you on social media, sir, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me at TurboStew01 over on Twitter and on Instagram.
And guys, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right up here at A Plus Opinions. Very active over on Twitter, along with our main Facebook page. Which, if you guys are not checking us out on Facebook, please do yourselves a favor, man. That's where we put all the news throughout the week, posters, trailers, behind the scenes stuff for you guys, also to keep you up to date throughout the week. And then we talk about those topics here with you at the end. So check us out also on Instagram if you'd certainly like. You can find us over on Spotify as well. There are links in our description box below, not only for Spotify, but also our Discord. Join our Discord if you love that forum sort of community setup that we have there. We definitely do talk about these topics and other related topics in our Discord forum. So both of those links are down below. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it and wrap it up for our show here today. But if anything, do us a big favor as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A plus. We'll see you guys next weekend. Bye.